People, how are we? Just adjust this camera a little bit. Some more last minute stuff getting sorted out. How are we, freedom lovers? Jake's always there nice and early, saying g'day before I even get the podcast running. How's that for dedication? Love your work, mate. Love your work. So, let's, continue basically from what we did on Friday, really, where we went through bits and pieces then due to lack of guests. But hey, we got a guest coming up 2 o'clock, so you have to stick around for a little while to have a yarn about council. Hey, Victoria, Rachel, how are yous? So we might kick off with some of these memes. I think it's always a good place to start, isn't it? While people are coming in, we can have a bit of a laugh while they come and join us. And there's my daughter out there screaming to be quiet at somebody, potentially me. I don't know. I'm not there. But, noise machines, what can I say? They do good, don't they, Astrid? Shh, you be quiet, dear. Anyway, image files. Let's open them up, eh? So we're going to do this attempt at a new system once again. I think I'd be a little bit more prepared by now, but apparently not. Okay, no, we don't want that one. We want that one. And it works well having the camera here, but the screen is right behind it, so I'm ducking and weaving. You can see what's going on. Yeah, I know. It's just one of those things when you got huge, because if I mount it on top of the TV, the camera's going to be up there. If I mount it underneath, down there. So I put it in the middle of the screen, otherwise it just looks really fucking weird. Sorry, I'm swearing again. I know I said I would stop, but I just can't help it. We might have to work on some stuff for that too. So anyway, let's have a look. So we've got, this seems to work all right. But it only brings me one image at a time. Okay. So 1954 shit spreader versus the 2024 shit spreader, eh? All the things we can see there. BBC probably still upset that they've lost their US aid. They got their aids from US. For those South Park fans out there. How easy is this? Okay, so this is going to make a mess of things. All right, it was an interesting idea, but I'm not a fan of this one. But anyway, let's try something different then. Love that one. Sorry for all you foreigners out there. Who still think Foster's is something Australian drink. I can't say I know many myself. I don't even remember the last time I've seen it in a bottle shop. Does anybody else? All right, let's get this going. Do it this way because this way works better. Screen, okay. Drop that one down. We're going to do it the old-fashioned way because it just seems to work a bit better. All right, keep scrolling. G'day, Belinda. How are you? So cheers to everyone that speaks the truth, no matter how much it bothers people. I don't understand how you're bothered by the truth. It's a real dedication to your own little mind virus, isn't it? And sips to all you wonderful, brave truth tellers out there who won't let programming get in the way of an intelligent decision. Now, I sympathise with all the folks losing their jobs for not responding to an email from Doge. I lost mine for not getting a jab that's skipped all proper safety testing, pushed out on half the world. But those damn email replies are brutal. Anybody else actually sympathising with these people? I think we can't adjust this a little bit. Yeah, that looks a bit better, eh? Yeah, all right, I like that. Next. So, can anybody identify this next colour? Send him 350 billion. I don't know if him's quite the right term. I don't know. There's probably some weird ass pronoun in there for, mass murdering Ukrainian dictators. I don't know. Is there a special term? I'm open to suggestions. Please drop them in the comments. But yeah, that's the guy that's sending Ukraine to its doom. Wonderful, isn't he? Thing? I don't know. There's another good meme regarding that fella coming up. Just stay tuned. You're so out of your league, I'm super popular on social media, she says. Isn't that like being rich in Monopoly? Mm-hmm. Okay. A brave snake saving a fish from drowning. This is how the media reports the news these days. Yep, good old brave snake. Not much like that weirdo in the high heels we just seen, isn't it? Albo heading to Brisbane like it needs two slow-moving depressions that are full of piss and wind. Hard to deny that one. Hard to deny that at all. Some good news in amongst the humorous stuff. King Island Dairy will not close and will remain in Australian hands. That's bloody great news. We need the fact that any country can come in and buy anything here is just absurd. You sit there and talk about how much they love the Indigenous, Aboriginal, whichever word you choose, whatever. Our First Nations brothers and sisters and whatnot. Did they even ask them if it was okay to sell this country off in droves to China and various other places? I wonder. Or were they too busy taking money for welcome to country? I don't know. It depends on which ones we're talking to, I guess. The intelligent ones that are alongside us going, hey, let's work together, or the ones who are selling out for a few bucks. So, deported illegals could have cured cancer or been an astronaut. Cured cancer, that's a good one. They've had that many bloody people working on a cure for cancer for how freaking long? I mean, all my life I've been hearing these donations going into this big cancer fund. Hasn't been solved. But we were supposed to believe they could cure COVID 1984 with an experimental gene therapy. Yes, of course. But interesting. Now, do aborted babies, could they possibly have cured cancer or become an astronaut? How many people sat there in primary school and high school and heard that shit about how, if you work really hard, you could be this, you could be that? And how many of us are sitting here disappointed going, boy, they told us a fucking whopper. Sorry, I swore again. So anyway, here's our high heel clad death merchant. When the Coca-Cola is good. And I don't know if anybody else watching that interview when we were watching it on Friday noticed how many times he fiddles with his nose, Especially like this one here. Like that. That's the, I'm really keen on this stuff. So, what scares me most is not the fact that the media is lying to us. It's the fact that most of, not you, my lovely audience, but the brainwashed masses out there, those people believe them. That's disturbing. What's even more funny is, like, having worked in the mainstream, is the people holding these microphones, much like this mask muppet here, actually believe their own bullshit too. Now, that's a special skill. It's a special skill to believe your own bullshit. It's astounding, but it's amazing. These people actually do it. The 99% of us who are not offended by everything are done catering to the 1% who are. And let's make sure that's loud and proud this election. Make sure you're getting out there and doing everything you can to support, independents, locals, help them out, doing flyers, standing at polling booths. These things are very important. I'll be doing my bit by getting as many people as I can here onto the podcast. I did speak to a fellow who's going to pop in 2 weeks, independent local around here, who's going to pop in for a bit of a yarn. So that'll be awesome. While we're in political mode, the Liberal heavyweights, pandemic agitators, driving bike boy campaign haunting poor Daniel Andrews. Is anybody feeling sympathetic for the world's biggest piece of shit? The world's biggest lockdowns. There's a giant turd and it's got this face on it, as far as I'm concerned. He is a scumbag. And who the hell writes that? Liberal heavyweights? What about the union heavyweights, who are covering up for it? What about the fact that the Victorian police assisted in covering up for this stuff? This poor kid, has had his life ruined, not to mention most of Victoria have had their life ruined by this dictator, and people are still willing to cover up for them. Again, this is a case of believing their own bullshit. It's astounding, and it's a real mind virus, Do you like having fun? Hang on, I think we have a fine for that, and I'm pretty sure people like Dictator Dan assist, these kinds of people who, for some strange reason, wake up in the morning and go, you know what? I want to fuck over hardworking Australians every day. I want to drive around and fuck them over as best as I can. Sorry, I'm swearing. I can't help it, but, when you see this kind of shit, and here in Townsville, we've got an influx of new police officers, and they're getting around during the day. Are they getting around at night when people are being mugged and whatnot? Are they getting around, patrolling the streets, making sure little shits are not stealing cars and stuff? That's where they should be, because truth, I've done the police ride along. I can tell you right now, there's bugger all coppers on the road over night time when you need them. They couldn't even bloody organise enough cars to stop kids running out of places that they know they're hiding. Like, give them a bloody hammer. If you want them to build a house, give them a hammer, not a fine book. This is nuts, Any wonder they can't get police officers who actually wakes up in the morning and goes, you know what, I want to screw over my fellow man, Who wakes up in the morning and goes, you know what, I want to let criminals go, but I want to find little old ladies. Yeah, that the real moral standing there. So, update. Cyclone due to hit coast anywhere between Cape York and Brisbane. So, for anyone who's not quite sure, it's pretty much the entire coast of, Queensland. Possibly during the day or night. Expected winds somewhere between blowing the curtains in front of the TV and, well, there's that word I keep saying I won't say, but why not? Fuck, there goes the roof. Stay indoors, except when wind speed reaches, there goes the roof. Go to the neighbour with a roof in those extreme cases. They should also have 20 loaves of bread they grabbed from Woolies yesterday and 10 cartons of fresh milk that are starting to turn because the power went out a few hours ago. So just, all those people in Brisbane who went and panic bought and did all that stuff, I hope you're having a barbie for your neighbours, you mongrels. So, anybody who wants to talk about sexuality with kindergartners is a predator. No ifs and buts, not even open for debate. They're not teachers, predators. Yeah. In fact, I think there's, you probably remember the movie Predator. I think I've got more respect for that alien who goes around skinning people and taking their skulls than I do for these kinds of people. Anyway, Tropical Cyclone Alfred downgraded to a mainstream news media clickbait tool. That's right. It's all turned to nothing. It's a big hot air, a bit of wind, as those of us up here in the north are used to seeing. It happens a lot. You never know what's going to happen with the cyclone. All of you who are panic buying, make sure you stock up on condoms so you don't breed any more effing idiots. Of course, this is one of my favorites. I love these sorts of things. Trust Electric, public transport, brand new spanker of a bus, 100% electric bus, broken down, dirty diesel tow truck to the rescue. And here you go. This is the result of EVs. Well done. You got to love it. When an electric bus, gotta love electric bus, mate. Gotta love an electric bus. Come on, I'm the one who couldn't read in grade 3, and I see things like that. It does my head in. It's hard enough to have that basic disability, and but still, you come across those things like it does not compute. And I've got to do it a couple of times because somebody bug it up. I was asked just before, can you read cursive writing? I'm like, it depends on how many times they cursed me, I guess. But I was cursed not so much by the cursive writing, but the fact that the sentence structure was somewhat appalling. So, again, I couldn't read in grade 3. What's your excuse? Cyclone Alfred waiting for a welcome to country ceremony so he can enter Australia. It's very nice, very kind of him. I just wonder if anybody did perform that welcome to country. Not that I'm against proper welcome to countries. I've been to proper welcome countries, not the crap that they put on in front of the sports and throw it down people's throats unwillingly. No, I personally chose to go and partake in something. There's a big difference, between willingly wanting to do it and having it shoved down your throat, thus creating resentment. So, here's a good survival tip for the cyclone scenarios. If you get more than, media hot air, if you need to heat up water, soup, or other food during a power outage, put tea lights in a muffin tray or a cake tin, as we tend to call them, and you have a do-it-yourself stove. I'm actually curious to see how well that'll work. It makes sense because, most of those tea light candles will at least last a couple of hours, especially if you get the tall ones. $2, great place to get them. Always a good thing to have on hand, especially if you live in cyclone-laden areas such as we. So anyway, but this is the real story here because Brisbane and Gold Coast bunker down as unexpected 4-day weekend begins. Yes, that's how much Australians really care about the fear porn that's being pumped out by the lamestream. thank you very much for the extended weekend. As you can see, people are really, really hurting. There might have been a few people who were getting around in face nappies thinking that was somehow going to save them from, some sort of cyclone-related disease. I don't know if the mainstream have gone that far into the lunacy just yet. I haven't really looked too much. I was too busy laughing. Anyway, Senator Jared Rennick, from the 20th to the 25th, Bank Australia will only fund loans for fully electric vehicles. Loans for new combustion engine vehicles, including low emission and hybrid vehicles, will no longer be eligible. Demo vehicles with less than 1,000 kilometres are considered new vehicles. There you go. So anyway, this is probably best to put in a bit later. I will have a little bit more on the electric vehicles to come up, but it ended up in the memes thing because, guess what, I was in a rush. And that's the last of the memes. So, here we go. No, we've got some numbers coming in now. People are joining the chat. Good to see. Sips to all you newbies who have just logged up. So it does work, says Linda Kelly. Thank you for letting us know. I haven't actually tried it. I had a 3-week blackout. I think that's more than a blackout. I mean, a blackout to me is something that happens, like an hour or so. That 3 weeks. That's a full blown power outage. That's a catastrophic disaster. I think 3 weeks without power is far more likely to cause harm than the China sniffles, for example. But that's just my opinion. So, where shall we take this? We'll save the council for later because old mate's going to come in. Well, let's go with the weather. That sounds like a good one. So, let's bring this in. All right, there is a little bit more. Hang on, we've got to bring this in, but at least it's a little bit more in order, I guess, for lack of a better term. So, let's start with good old Plebiscite.
Wind farms. A shock move today too. Federal Environment Minister Tanya Plibersek green lighting more of these wind farm monstrosities in New South Wales. There's the so-called Hills of Gold project, 62 turbines in a ridge line near the historic town of Nundle in New England. There's the Spices Creek project, 117 turbines near Gulgong in the central west. And then there's a big extension to the project on the Liverpool Range near Coolah in the state's northwest. That will now number some 185 turbines, all over 200 metres in height. Note that even the minister in announcing these decisions admitted that there'd only be 80 ongoing jobs in total. So there's the lie, isn't it? That myth of a jobs bonanza under the so-called green transition, because as we know, almost all of these turbines are made in China and then imported here. Don't forget it was the Albanese government that quietly dropped anti-dumping tariffs on wind turbines from China, confirming that the only so-called energy superpower, the renewable energy superpower out of all of this, will be China, not Australia. And all the while, Beijing is building another 100 coal-fired power stations to, among other things, make our solar panels and make our wind turbines. We in the gullible West buy them. It goes without saying that each one of these new wind projects will involve the clearing of large areas of native forest and sensitive habitat. Is that what it's now come to, with Green left Labor governments destroying the environment in a futile bid, they say, to stop climate change?
Oh, that's it. Oh, I thought there might be a little bit more on that. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. That's not going to work just yet. Save it for later anyway. Okay, let's, we want to get rid of that, and we want to bring this bit in. Sorry, guys. I'll get there. All right, so the ABC, back to more weather. I mean, Struth, you think a high wind cyclone would be wonderful for all those wind farms, wouldn't it? Shouldn't it? The ABC, they are so disappointed that Cyclone Alfred, formerly known as Elbow, Anthony, wasn't it? Elbow, Anthony, same thing. We weren't supposed to get confused, but look, it just happened. Oh my God. Anyway, Alfred is forecast to hit the Queensland coast as a Category 1 cyclone. I believe it was downgraded to a low in the end. They have manipulated the bomb's official cyclone track map to delete that detail from the ABC's map. The bomb's current official map at the bottom of the attached tile shows Cyclone Alfred hitting the Queensland coast as a Category 1 cyclone. The ABC's live Cyclone Alfred forecast map earlier today showed it as a Category 1 hitting the Queensland. So more of that wonderful wording I was referring to, hitting the Queensland coast, will help old mate out here. But sometime today, the ABC deleted this information from their map. It appears they didn't want to upset the alarmists. I don't know, because those people, they need their fear porn. You know, if they don't get a daily dose of fear porn, you know, they may have to find some other form of porn, I guess. Defund the ABC. You know, I don't know about defund the ABC, but how about, you know, something in there to make it not so biased might be another way to go about that. I don't think we should defund it, because we get rid of the ABC. You know what we have left? Nothing but Murdoch. And I don't like that any more than anyone else. Again, what we really need is more a broader brush to paint with when it comes to the media. It shouldn't all be owned by, you know, an American bloody billionaire. Like, why is that not on any sites? I wonder. Is Craig Kelly perhaps taking a few bucks from the Murdoch media? Who knows? Who knows? Steps to that question. Or is it just a pure hatred because of the way ABC treats him? I don't know. We'll have to ask him at some stage. They can't be trusted to tell the truth. Anyway, a Category 1 cyclone is still life-threatening, with flooding the main danger. Yeah, so here you go. That's their map. As you can see, they're not even giving you a, you know, possible range of cyclone center dots. It's a wind alert. You know, whereas earlier it had Category 1 in it. Fascinating. So there you go. There's that one. Interesting. So this is my favorite. We were wrong on net zero, BP boss admits. Energy giant to spend $10 billion drilling for oil and gas as it shuns renewables. Is anyone surprised here? Chief executive of BP has admitted the company went too far, too fast in its shift to net zero, adding a decision to cut spending on oil and gas was misplaced. As part of an update to investors, because that's who we're really trying to please here in a capitalistic market. Let's not beat around the bush here. Murray, Auchincloss. That's my best guess. Auchincloss, even. I don't know. I mean, the CH gets so many different runs through. You know, like I always love that. You know, when in primary school, desperately trying to figure out what the hell is going on with why. You know, why does reading make no sense? It's because there is no set rules. At least not that I could find, anyway. You know, I before E, except after C, except this, and maybe that one. You know, there's too many rules. Simplify it. Anyway, said the company's net zero strategy and been overtaken by events, including the coronavirus pandemic. Oh, cool. That was more important, was it? That was a load of bloody hot air too. The Ukraine war. It's not a war, it's a slaughter. You know, a war is when two evenly matched sides are, you know, at odds. This is, you know, Russia stamping the hell out of them and being very kind about it, mind you, because I'm pretty sure they could have just rolled in and decimated the joint in the blink of an eye. But Putin seems to be playing a smarter game. Was that wind turbines won't be able to handle really strong winds? That's true. That's very true. Stop all the funding of all media. Important news. Great. Get sponsors. I agree. You know, speaking of which, I'm all for sponsors. Anybody want to sponsor me doing my thing? That'd be great. Not to mention, actually, here's a good opportunity to point that out. In the description, you'll find there is a 7-day trial available for the Gaia Network. If you're interested, sign up with that link, and hey, that helps me out. And of course, there's a free $10 Bitcoin to anybody who follows the Bitcoin link there too. You get 10, I get 10. Win-win. How could you lose? Give it a crack, hey. What do you got to lose? You know, maybe a couple of bucks, you know. And think about it. Are you the kind of person that played Tats Lotto? I watched my parents do it for friggin' 45 years, and they were doing it before I was born. And I think the last time my mother calculated it, they still figured that they'd maybe gotten back in little prizes, and they, you know, I think they had like one or two, you know, half decent wins, and you know, to the tune of 1,000 or so.
that all the money that they'd spent over the years had been returned to them maybe as 0.2% in winnings. So at the end of the day, for 50 odd years or so, give or take, because I think it started in 1977, if memory serves correctly, they've basically kept Tattersalls alive, which is very kind of them to make that donation. Personally, if you're going to gamble with that kind of thing, wouldn't a bit of crypto or even chucking it into some gold or something, wouldn't that be a smarter move, considering that gold was $360 an ounce back in 1999 or whatever it was, and it's now running $3,500. Standing there at the Perth Mint, I should have bought that ounce of gold back then. I tell you, boy, if I could have my time again, I would not be listening to my parents who bought Tats Lotto tickets, who told me, what are you going to do with it? It's just a paperweight. Wow, that paperweight was a very good paperweight, very expensive one. Anyway, Ukraine war and changes in government policy. So anyway, he said in 2020, we made some bold strategic changes, accelerating into the energy transition while progressively reducing our hydrocarbon business. Then we saw COVID 1984, the slaughter in Ukraine, where, some guy in high heels is catapulting his own people into Russian tanks for pointless, I guess for the money laundering purposes might be the best way to look at that. A recession and a shift in attitudes of markets and governments had fundamental impact on the energy system. Pressures on budgets meant that lower cost energy won out in most nations. So look at that. Lower cost energy won out. Guess what? It wasn't bloody renewables, was it? Lower cost energy is not renewables. So they're there. The people who are actually profiting from energy production are telling you this is the way it goes, not some fundamentalist lunatic, you know what, speaking of fundamentalist lunatics, let's have a look at one of these unhinged nut jobs, shall we? I'm going to stop sharing that for a minute so I can see what I'm doing. I hate the way it puts the button right over where I need to see the other button. It drives me nuts. I was going to put this more into a political side, but it actually makes sense. So this is some of the amazing, some unhinged uni nut. So let's have a look at what this like has to say.
We can continue to be normalize things like Euro summer, or just 5-minute drive down to IGA when it would be a 10-minute walk, stuff like that.
Yeah, just stuff like that. We're going to bring back a whole trolley's full of stuff because, we've got to feed a family. But I guess when you get a haircut like that, a family's not one of your concerns. Obviously you go down to the IGA every day to buy a sausage roll or something, eh? Or a packet of lettuce, get some rabbit food. Some of us take a 5-minute drive down there because we've got a carload of stuff to bring back, you bloody moron.
But I just think these things so ingrained in our way of life here in the West, it's almost seen as a
what, like eating and doing the shopping? You friggin' idiot.
Right. It's you're right to go to Italy and sip that little limoncello on a beach. It's your right to take a 2-minute car ride when it would have been a 5-minute walk. And I just think without a radical change in our thinking, it's just yeah, it's always going to be an issue, which sucks. So I think I'm a very big sort of advocate. Oh, I never said this out loud before, but definitely for a sort of degrowth, societal type shift in the way we, I guess, consume and live, because yeah, it's just really not sustainable at a large scale. I just don't think.
Now, for those of you who watched it last week, you might Friday, I believe it was, you might have heard me mention Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So when I watched that pile of tripe and, I was laughing at how many times she said, I should have had a like meter, really. If I had more time and, more funding, perhaps I would. But that was absolutely hilarious. The ability to put in a sentence 3 or 4 times, that's almost as good as my ability to put the word fuck in a sentence, except I think I do it more artfully. But that's just me, perhaps my biased opinion on myself. So anyway, as soon as I seen that, I was instantly going, I was just talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and where is it? Huh? Oh, don't tell me it didn't bloody render out the way I wanted it to. I have a feeling it doesn't like that video. I'm going to have to do it another way. Need to change the settings in my thingamabob, and I should have checked that to make sure it was working, because now I just totally messed up my flow. There. All right, there it is, actually. All right, cool. Just didn't go in the order it was supposed to.
It's totally key. The Earth is in terrible shape. We could all die. Besides, Sting's doing it.
I thought he's doing Indians.
How about the homelessness?
Oh,
Aren't there any sicknesses that aren't too depressing?
What you guys doing?
senior dance. We need to come up with a theme.
It has to be a socially conscious theme. I still say the environment, that's my suggestion.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What are the most immediate threats to the world environment right now?
Litter?
Litter, yeah.
Forest fires?
Bugs?
Bugs, totally.
Yeah, I hate bugs. Yeah.
So that's exactly what that bloody rant from this idiot
To like be like,
reminded me of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, although I think I was much more at ease watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer because you could see it was supposed to be a joke, but some people didn't see it that way. Some people actually took it seriously. So I have a great deal of sympathy for these poor train wrecks of humanity who actually thought that was supposed to be serious. But anyway, but yeah, you can see like that idea is being planted. That was 1992, that movie came out. And a lot of movies of that period were doing things like that, but except that was taking the piss out of it. It was hilarious. And I watched Beetlejuice again last night. I picked it up for a 4K version of it because it's a great movie. And again, you know, it starts off with they're all doing the bloody climate change crap, you know, but the joke gets thrown in there later when you look, so we got another protester as they wheel in a dead protester with oil freaking heads and shit. It's like, well done, dickheads. So I like the way that they were able to play that, you know, both sides of that argument very well, you know, and you can see that paradigm shift, you know, intelligence is coming back, you know, and we're starting to see that these work mind virus people really are little more than mentally ill people. It's sad, but that's the way it is. So anyway, let's keep moving. Why Volvo are backing off their bold electric car plan? Interesting. You know, it hit the brakes on its ambitious all-electric goal for 2030. I wonder why. Might it have something to do with those profits? You know, it reassessed its strategy in response to shifting market conditions, infrastructure challenges, and waning consumer interest in full electric vehicles. Yeah, of course, because it's a pain in the ass. You know, who wants to charge for hours on end when you can just go to the petrol station, dun, 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 here's your money, done, see you later. Like, come on, who has time? We don't have time. You know, they've created a society where it's so heavily enslaved to, you know, wage slavery. We can barely afford, you know, what does job mean? Just over broke was something I was told the other day. Thanks. I can't remember who has told me that, but thank you for that. I did say I'd use it. Now I'm using it. But of course, it continues. Mercedes-Benz pulls back on electric car targets. The German car maker is the latest to revise its ambitious targets for zero tailpipe emission vehicles as the rate of sales growth slows. So everybody who had a shit ton of money to go, look at me, I've got an electric car, I can afford it, I got millions of dollars. The rest of us can't afford it, and the rest of us also have this intelligent notion that once the battery dies, it's a heap of useless junk. You can't do anything with it. You know, inside America's electric vehicle whiplash from Axios here. You know, the CEO of Stellantis, which owns Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep. You know, you ever wonder about the term dodgy? Somebody was telling me the other day that Dodge came in, you know, to undercut Ford and make cheaper products. Perhaps that's where the term dodgy comes from. And every time I see the word Dodge, I can't help but think Married with Children, Al Bundy and his old Dodge, you know. So anyway. So told reporters today that the auto industry risked an EV bloodbath if a pricing war started by Tesla continues. Rental car giants Hertz said last week that it plans to sell 20,000 of its electric vehicles and buy more gas-powered rentals. So people aren't even renting them. It's too much of an inconvenience. Of course, you're going on holidays. You know what? I want to spend the 2 weeks that I'm allowed to actually enjoy my life in the whole year, and I want to spend it watching an electric vehicle charge instead of getting around. Come on. Who thought that was a good idea? You stand there in your Hawaiian shirt, and it's at some recharge center, waving, "Look at me! Oh, I'm saving the planet." As all the people who have more brains driving past, going, "Dickhead, I'm going to the waterfall. You stand there and stare at your car charge, you moron." GM stopped selling its Chevy Blazer EV, a brand new model, late last month because of charging and software issues. So again, this comes back to something I've said many a time. This kind of technology has been pushed out too fast in the sense that it is not being product tested. It is not safe, Of course, they're calling them charging and software issues. I call it charging issue. Wow, that's like saying I bought a brand new car, the fuel tank's stuffed. Can't hold fuel. It's not bloody much good, is it? Or perhaps the things are catching fire. It's almost like going back to the don't use your mobile phone while charging putting petrol in the car. It might blow up. These ones, don't worry about the mobile phone. It'll blow up all on its own. Come on. So the big picture, state governments, automakers, environmental activists are also struggling to push super drivers responsible for the most carbon emissions into EVs. And the New York Times writes from a new report by Cultura, an environmental non-profit. Yeah. So where are they getting their money from? They're funneling monies from the government, no doubt. And environmental non-profits usually work that way. That's why they need to vote Greens and Labor and things like that, particularly here in this country. So they probably took a big hit, as the Doge team are going through, getting rid of dodgy business. You see the way I tied that up? It was pretty clever, eh? Anyway, the top 10% of drivers in the US account for more than 1/3 of the nation's gasoline use for private light-duty vehicles, according to the report. The tricky part, many super drivers who live in rural areas have limited access to charging stations outside of their homes. Oh, no shit. What a surprise. You know what we need? Charging stations as far as the eye can see. Let's just litter the highways with friggin' charging stations, because that won't make it any more dangerous cruising down the Bruce Highway with more potholes in it than a slice of Swiss cheese. And, what we need is people pulling in and out in 100K zones all the time because they had to stop and charge their useless friggin' car. Anyway, that number also doesn't include commercial fleets, which account for a huge portion of the miles driven on the US roads. EVs can also struggle in cold weather. Well, thankfully, something we don't have to worry about up here. No, we just get floods, and then, those high tide rises, and then the salt water gets into them. They become bombs. Anyway, charging takes longer. Charging takes longer. Really? I bet you were shocked, ladies and gentlemen, to hear that. And driving range falls to around 70% of the normal distance. Oh, wow, that's really good out in those rural regions, such as, most of Queensland, outside of Brisbane, that is. Anywhere outside of Brisbane, that's where your problems are really going to lie, is you can't get to the next station. You'll run out of charge. And that's on a brand new battery. We've all got mobile phones, right? They last 2, maybe 3 days of battery charge when you buy them out of the box. Within 2 years, you're charging them every few hours. You're carrying a battery bank around. Cool, let's strap another battery bank to the top of my EV car so I can charge the battery off another battery. That's the kind of stupidity we're moving towards here, ladies and gentlemen. This is ridiculous. But hey, look, it gets better. Car buzz. All automakers have backpedaled or pushed back EV production. All automakers. Electric vehicles are the future, right? Wrong. That's what automakers, governments across the globe, and many a news site, I don't know, propaganda campaignists might be a better term, have been trumpeting, unlike the, proper Trumps, and, there's no patriots here. They're just trumpeting, town criers might be a good word for them, for the past decade or so. But in 2024, the tone has changed. If you haven't noticed, one automaker after the other has either rolled back timelines or postponing plans indefinitely after the industry has seen a serious decline in demand in 2024. It doesn't matter how much they subsidize, it doesn't matter how much they try and push and twist things. People don't want them, But Mercedes AMG commits to the next generation V8. So they see where the things are going. People want power. Mercedes has joined the ranks of manufacturing, putting the brakes on electric vehicles, even promising to bring back V8s in a bid to win back customers. Yeah, people who like cars actually like power. Like my son, he thinks he's a great driver, but he's 14 years old and he's got I don't think he's got much road experience myself. Just a thought. I haven't given him any unless somebody else out there's been doing it. He hates them. He's a full-blown car nut and he cannot stand them. He's all about your race cars and your Formula Ones and all that sort of stuff, So, look, even a 14-year-old kid can see this, which way this is going. Mercedes will cut costs by 10% and reduce production from 2.5 million to somewhere between 2 and 2.2 million vehicles in the next 2 years. So, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We're saving the environment, one smart decision at a time. Good old Bob Catter, though, which, some people have said, is a little bit more aligned to Labor than we would like. It was one of the things I pointed out to him a while ago is he got way too much red in this logo for me. But anyway, North Queensland's Bob Catter has firmed his grip on the issues that will matter for the region in the upcoming federal election, saying the Brisbane mentality is alive and well. And that's pretty much the problem with this EV stuff. It's these people who live in these concrete tombs, otherwise known as cities, don't go very far, barely see trees, and want to come out to the country and tell us more about how we should be doing things, And he would do anything he could to destroy the Olympics. Wow. Did anybody want them? Bloody... other than our good old Palachuk, the Palachicken, the only person to put in a bid for the Olympics. Thanks heaps for that. And this is something we should never forget about the Labor Party. She flew out of the country, Japan, I believe it was at the time, to go and put in a bid for the Olympics and then shut the Queensland borders the next day. This is what I got for you, Palachuk. I'm struggling not to swear right now. In true Catter fashion, so here they are ripping into him, typical Townsville Bulletin bullshit. In fact, the fact they gave him a bloody an opportunity to speak is just astounding because I've heard these leftist vile entities behind the backs of the Catter Party on several occasions. Oh, who cares? It's just a Catter Party. There must have been a slow news day for poor Nikita here. She was struggling to find something. So let's have a dig at the Catter Party. He will demand his federal counterparts live up to their Bruce Highway promises and fight the wokies causing coal mine closures. While the father of the house still hasn't been officially endorsed by the party, with an official decision expected from the Catter Party's president, Ben Fusco, later this week, he made it clear he was still battling for the North. After severe flooding across the Hinchinbrook, Mr. Catter and other KAP's members, my experience is that people were going into panic mode for weeks straight. No shit. They couldn't get out either end. Yeah, because the roads suck. We should be focusing on things like that. God, it's hard to read this horrific. Right. So Mr. Catter said priorities should include the widening and raising of the inland highway from the Lind to Charters Towers, sealing and upgrading the inland highway from the Lind to the Hughenden, and raising the Garlock and Seymour River crossings on the Bruce. He added that he would continue to push for Cairns and Tablelands bridle track tunnel as a long-term solution to for the state highway. I like they actually got creative and did a little bit of photoshopping by the look of it here. Unless they actually got a decent photographer in, who knows? I'm going to go with Photoshop. Speaking in Parliament, because you can sort of see the airbrushing there. Anyway, that's me. Speaking in Parliament on February 13th, Mr. Catter updated the Prime Minister on the idea, with Albanese saying, "We will fix it." Yeah, righto. If Anthony Albanese said it, you can guarantee it's a lie. When it comes to Queensland, Mr. Catter said the LNP and the ALP were solely focused on the capital, that they are. The party demands that they toe the party line, which, of course, is a wokey Brisbane line. So... that's about all I can handle from the Townsville Bulletin. It's pretty appalling stuff at the best time. So, yeah. Anyway, that kind of concludes all the stuff we've got there. So, let's remove that one for now. Let's move on to our next category, shall we? Just clear that out the road. See what the hell's going on. Now, do you have anything else in there? Well, here's a little something while we set up the next one. 10 wind
From a flaming turbine in Crowell, Texas that couldn't survive a lightning storm and a unit in...
That didn't work the way it was supposed to. It's a bit of a long video, so I might sort of skim through this, but we'll get it going while I set up the next mob. 10 wind turbines to end things off that failed.
Turbine in Crowell, Texas that couldn't survive a lightning storm, and a unit in India that collapsed after losing one of its blades, to a maintenance crew in the Irish Sea who made the biggest mistake of their lives, and a demolition in Texas that sent a turbine crashing to the ground. Here are 10 wind turbine failures caught on camera. India is now the most populated country on Earth.
Let's get to the point.
China. But of 2015, they watched one of the blades fly off a nearby turbine.
In India.
Then the whole thing came crashing down.
Somebody put one in my backyard. I feel so much safer after having watched this.
Of twigs. Third most populated region in Italy. It's one of the most industrialized places on the Italian peninsula. Out of control. The wind was blowing extremely fast that day.
So, isn't it a great idea to put these things all up and down the Queensland coast in cyclones laden areas such as the Queensland coast? Come on. What do you think's going to happen? Stay tuned.
Apparently too fast for this turbine to keep up. Clearly, nobody wanted to risk driving underneath.
Oh yeah, coming to a beautiful coastline near you in Queensland. That is the future of wind turbines. Well done, dickheads. Well done. Let's check the next one.
A point. That point is called the rated speed. It keeps turbines from blowing too fast during windstorms, hurricanes, and tornadoes. If the wind pushes the turbine past maximum power, it automatically shuts down to prevent damage. So, someone either...
Wow. So rather than harness a large force energy, we just shut it down and we do nothing with it. Well done.
Forgot to set this turbine's rated speed, or it just malfunctioned.
So, San Antonio.
At the intersection of you need to pass line blade.
Oh my god. Oh my
Block
god.
the whole road. Look at the size of that thing. Look at the size of this thing. Trash the traffic lights by the look of it.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh.
So this is another part of these projects people don't realize is massive wide roadening projects. Massive, they want to put them up here in the coastline of North Queensland. That means a hell of a lot of bulldozing, not just the site, but the path to get to the site to get these monstrosities up there.
Oh my god. Oh shit. Oh my god.
Saving the world.
Our cameraman couldn't believe what he was seeing. The truck was just about to make it before the train obliterated the turbine. You can see when the signal arm comes down over the truck bed. Since backing up wasn't an option, the driver decided to gun it. According to reports, some workers on the train had to be treated for minor injuries. Witnesses said a steady stream of trucks had already carried several turbine blades across the tracks. This last driver was either incredibly unlucky or extremely impatient.
That's a good one. Let's get to the point. Let's get to the... here we go. All right, cool. That's
and gravity.
Timber. Oh, sorry. Fiberglass, plastic, rare earth minerals. Yay! Yeah, we should put
It
them in
seems
Brisbane.
easier to knock the turbine
Sydney,
over and
Melbourne.
dismantle it from there. Looking closely, you can see the steel wires stretching from the top of the pole. We imagine they had it connected to a truck or a heavy-duty wing.
So anyway, let's get to the next one. Number 6, eh? Yeah, lovely city views. Here we go. So again, the likelihood of this happening in Queensland.
Storm passed through the countryside.
Good.
One of the turbines outside the city couldn't stand up to the wind, leading to this classic video.
Like a bomb just went off.
According to reports, the turbine exploded when one of the blades bent back and hit the tower. Pieces of fiberglass flew as far as 1,600 feet away from the unit. 2 days later...
So how many of our native animals do you think we can kill in one hit? It's a big goal here. I know Tanya Plebisek is big for koala clubbing and all that, but this looks like a far more efficient way to cause destruction.
Another turbine collapsed.
Oh, one in water. This would be good. Let's save the whales. We're going to save the whales. Here we go.
On October 23rd of 2021, a Swedish energy company called Vattenfall arrived to perform some routine maintenance. They used a heavy-duty crane system to closely examine the massive blades. Then, tragedy struck.
So, how many fishies did we kill in the making of this wind turbine? Good one. That's a good one. Next. All right. Texas. Oh, lightning. Oh, look at that. There we go.
Storm had just passed over the town. As we know, lightning tends to strike the tallest objects in sight. So, when the storm passed over a wind farm, it didn't shock anyone when the turbine got hit. What happened next had the whole town buzzing.
Wow. Now, we have these other things other than cyclones here in North Queensland. They're called huge electrical storms. So can you imagine putting these things on the top of the highest mountains so we can get the best wind, in right next to, you know, national parks and many an endangered species? Let's stick these things up on the hill. Let's go for it, eh? Here's a glimpse into the future, according to Tanya Plebisek. I want to thank you very much for your wonderful thoughts for the environment. Bushfires, here we come.
The lightning bolt struck the gearbox, setting the whole turbine on fire. The flames spread as the rotors kept spinning. The locals could only...
And, you know, grease, oil, these things are in those things. What's green about it? Seriously, you're still going to have to go and get oils and petroleum products to make these things work.
Only watch as the...
There we go, putting it... Oh, cool. Look, and, you know, forest fire. As you can see, here you go, old mate with his fire or anything, but, you know, it gets better and better.
Was wait and prevent the fire from spreading. Thankfully, the...
So, Great Dividing Range, North Queensland, that's your future. If we keep letting these greeny fucking idiots, sorry, I did it again, I can't help it, but it's the best word to describe these people. You know, these woke mind virus lunatics are saving the environment. Just remember, this is called saving the world. Look at all that carbon blowing up into the upper atmosphere. Well done, guys. Did you measure the carbon output of the... Does this kind of stuff count as going to the carbon output, you know, of a wind farm?
Was wait and prevent...
Anyway, number 3.
With controlled explosions. Here's what
controlled demolition.
one of them
Not like 9/11. This is completely different.
Looked like.
Exactly, Jake.
Taking down a turbine isn't as easy as rigging it with explosives and pressing the button. The demo team had to account for wind speed, not to mention the 345-foot tower. One bad calculation, and it could fall in the wrong direction. All 21 towers came down over 48 hours. We assume they were hauled off to a...
That's a lot of explosives being used, isn't it? What do they make them out of? All right. Bunch of troops. Okay, that's a funky looking one. Yeah, let's have a look at this. This looks interesting.
300 homes as the fort made efforts to generate its own energy. But after 7 years of service, the tower was scheduled for a controlled demolition. Now, the crew didn't have permission to use explosives on the base, so they had to cut it like a tree instead. That meant making precise cuts through 1-inch thick steel. Then, all it took was a little push.
It'll probably go down all by itself. That's why what we mean by...
The idea is to cut the tower until the hinge point, or the point of no return, as Safety Officer Todd Kimball calls it. This is
the timber point for tree loppers,
where the tower can still stand on its own, but it could also come down with the right amount of force.
Wow, don't you want to stand under there? Like, I would not want this job.
Once the hinge point is ready, the crew puts some tension on the cable. Then all it takes is one tiny cut for the tower to fall over. Ideally, the turbine falls where they want it. There were power cables in one direction and underground utilities in another. It's also very hot and very dry in southern Arizona. A small spark could set the whole...
Now, just out of curiosity, is that a solar-powered digger?
Field on fire.
Oh. All right, what's number 1? All right, here we go.
Where you fall, nobody wants to see one on fire. While strolling through the countryside, a local stumbled upon a flaming turbine in the distance. While they missed the moment it burst into flames, they recorded the fire's destructive power. Lightning strikes are the #1 cause of wind turbine fires, but it doesn't...
The #1 cause, and again, we have huge electrical storms up this way, you know, like... Plebisek, Jerry, seriously, just stick to club and koalas one at a time. It's probably safer that you do that. So that concludes our environmental nightmare for the week, you know, from cyclones to lightning bolts and, of course, the wondrous methods of saving the planet with renewables. Really? We still got to use that word? I don't think so. I think it's time for a massive upgrade. So anyway, let's have a look as we move into election time. Actually, you know what? It just dawned on me. I need to send this to somebody. Otherwise, our guest won't join us. I meant to do that before. All right, sidetracked again. I'm good at it. Sorry, Alan. Let's reply. Send that to him so he can come find us in an hour. And I'll back it up. Sorry, guys. Sidetracked thoughts of, hey, I better sort that out. These things are, you know, too many things running through my mind at any one time. It can be a bit chaotic. Oh, wrong Alan. Paste also emailed. There we go. You can find us in an hour now. All right, cool. If not, we still got plenty of shit to talk about. So, right, let's shut that down. Let's clear some space, clear the stage, clean up crew. Okay, so let's start with the video while it's set. Actually, yeah, I'll do that. So from weather to parliamentary election time. So let's start with something a little bit funny. I'd just like to thank Laura for sending this through to us.
What can I do to help?
Sell a farm to the government.
No.
Granny, did you call?
I don't know what's wrong with him.
Let me take a look.
Hurry, Doc, help.
We'll get it checked out. Let's take a listen. Oh, boy. Daryl, can you hear me? Do you know where you are?
They should take all the guns.
How bad is it, Doc?
It's bad.
What is it?
He's got a case of the commies.
Oh, no. Do I have to yeller him?
No, ma'am, it's curable. I'm gonna write him a prescription for Tuttle Twins.
Tuttle Twins?
Read him one of these every hour on the hour until you see a complete recovery. Give it a try.
Okay. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to...
Whoa!
Wow, that was fast.
That's the power of patriotism.
What happened? Oh, hey, Doc.
You had a bad case of the commies.
Oh, no.
What were you doing to catch it?
I was watching that teacher lady on social media, and she was talking about how redistribution of wealth is a good thing.
Indoctrination can lead to the commies.
This is why parents need to give their kids the access to the right materials.
A book a day keeps the commies away.
Look out, book burning coming to a university near you. Oh, that was a good one. I had a good laugh at that one. So this is another one. It's kind of like toilet humor because I was watching it on the toilet. So of course I have to bring it into the podcast. You know, it's just the important thing to do. You know, because some of the best thinking is done on the dunny. If I hit the right button, this might actually work. All right, so yeah, we're in the right spot, and we want this one.
Deputy President, and today I'd like to talk about Donald Trump's landslide victory and what did it prove? It proved once again that the legacy media, their influence, it is a thing of the past. Screw those guys, nobody likes them. Mainstream media effectively campaigned for Kamala Harris and they lost. Their influence is dead, it's buried, it's cremated. Now, if you thought this election was bad for the Democrats, it was more devastating for legacy media. The media, they gave their left-wing candidate 90% positive press, but they still couldn't convince the majority of Americans to vote for her. They dismissed and demonized Donald Trump. 90% of what they said about him was negative. Who cares what the mainstream media thinks? Who cares? The public don't care about these people. The traditional gatekeepers of political discourse, TV networks, newspapers, they're not just dying, they're already dead. They're dead. We no longer need the mainstream media to get our message to the masses. Social media, podcasts, live streaming, it all means that they're about as relevant as a VHS tape. They are a relic of a bygone era. Now, no wonder you all want to censor the internet. There are those in this place that are worried that, in my opinion, the liars and the Marxists and the mainstream media are being bypassed online. They are fighting a losing battle, and you know what? They know it. President Trump, his win proves one thing. If we ignore the media and we communicate directly to the masses with strong common sense policies, we will succeed. Little wonder the mainstream media is snarkier than ever. Little wonder the establishment is more frantic than ever. It is a great day for people like me. Your days are numbered, all of you.
Thank you, Senator Babette.
Gotta love it. I'd just like to say g'day to the Queensland Police Surveillance Drone P3 and ASIO Surveillance Drone 814, who are coming up in my Wi-Fi. So g'day, guys. Hope you're enjoying the show. They really are worried, aren't they? when you got to have ASIO drones and police drones flying over the place all the time. Got to wonder. Like, what's so dangerous about this? Seriously, it's already on social media. I'm just sharing it again. Sucks to be you. Ever think you're on the wrong side of the fence? Maybe you're on the wrong side of history. Do you ever stop to think that, hang on, if I don't play my cards right, I may never work again?
This is actually our fault. This is voters' fault. We have
100%.
allowed our politicians to think that they own us instead of reminding them in the voting booths that they work for us. And this is the problem. The nanny state strikes again. I've said this before, and I apologise in advance, Caleb. Govern me harder, Daddy. That is the mentality of Australia.
And that is it. Govern me harder, please. Give me a little bit more. You know, we need more whips and chains. We need more ASIO surveillance drones. We need more police surveillance drones. You know, I don't know what the hell how much is that shit costing? Fly over and just try and an attempt to intimidate.
I love it every time you say.
Can I just read a quote that I thought was really apt about this? I saw this on the internet. It says, Australians love to be regulated by the government. Personal responsibility terrifies them. Liberty, many think, is just an American value. You know, Australians just want the government to keep them safe so they can relax, enjoy their sports, beers and beaches. It's why so many people loved the COVID mandates. They never felt so safe and protected. And it's why we keep voting for the same useless politicians. The convict spirit lives on, and the invisible chains are hard to break because they are self-imposed. And until we say no to daddy government, they will continue to treat us like children. It's up to us to put them back in their rightful place, which is below the citizen.
That's right. So remember, when we're voting, and make sure you're getting out there. You're good. It's not just good enough to put your vote in. You've got to get out there and help, you know, as well. You know, like particularly as we're seeing the war on the minor parties and independents and things is heavily, you know, in motion because Labor and Liberal know that they are indeed two cheeks of the same ass, and the people are onto them. They're in trouble, so they are desperate to save face however they can. You know, as we can see by what's coming in the next one. And that's a bang on statement. People need to get their shit together, you know, like it's all good to sit down and have a beer, sips to that. It's all good to tune in and watch the podcast, but you've got to put your money where your mouth is too, ladies and gentlemen. And that goes for you too, ASIO and, you know, police drones and whatnot. I know you guys, you know, just worried about your paycheck, but what happens when we vote out the government that put you there? What happens when we get a Doge going how much money was wasted flying drones over good old North Queensland Freedom Network's homes? I'd like to see the bill on that. How much money are you wasting? And well, I'll show you another video while I prepare it, because some of you probably think I just made that shit up, but so don't you worry, I'll show you. So, where are we? We did the work mind virus. Okay, so this is of course another important one, because look, it's from our good mate Rennick. I have to wonder how many surveillance drones he has fly over his house. Though he's on the road.
1984 is 1776, and that's where the
hang on.
English tea into the harbour and said no taxation without representation. So
let's start.
The only thing that's going to beat 1984 is 1776, and that's where the American patriots threw the English tea into the harbour and said no taxation without representation. So we have to limit the power of government. That, you know, lots of angles of freedom, but limiting government is very important. That's not to say I don't believe in government, but it's got to be, you know, effective government, which is building, you know, providing services. And that's all back, you know, the manifestation of that democracy that really was kicked off by the Patriots. I mean, the English had, you know, did get there as well. They were sort of in parallel different stages, but you know, then the French Revolution and everything like that, and that was built on the teachings and the writings of the Enlightenment with guys like John Locke and these guys, right? Well, the whole thing about the Enlightenment period that followed the Renaissance was that they upturned the principles of the hereditary rights of kings, and they basically empowered the individual. And we have to like smash this bureaucratic class that is unaccountable to no one.
Alrighty then, I'll fix that in a minute. We'll come back to it. So that's another wonderful video from our mate there. Let's chuck another one in the mix. So Rennick's always got some amazing stuff. So Struth, all of us in Queensland should definitely give him a big, nice number one for the Senate.
That are stored in the Bank of England. Did the Bank of England actually ask permission from the RBA to actually melt down the 80 tonnes of gold, Australia's gold, before refining it from 2015 onwards?
So you're suggesting that the gold bars that we owned had been melted down?
I've been given the serial numbers and the dates of refining, and they've been refined from 2015 onwards, as late as 2020. So I would have thought that if the Bank of England, either they didn't have our gold bars there in the first place, and you know, the memo I've got from the RBA previously has said there's been fake gold bars and duplicate serial numbers. That would mean at some point the gold bars we own now, well, we know that, you know, I've got the document from the RBA that says they've been refined from 2015 onwards. So clearly our old gold bars have either been given to someone else or they've been melted down. But long story short, it's a trespass to chattel for the Bank of England to be, you know, moving around our gold bars without permission from the RBA.
Senator,
Wouldn't you agree with that?
Senator Rennick, I was just going to ask if there was a question there, which I think was, do you agree with
so
that?
Did the
and
Bank
that's
of
the
England
end of
ask for
your
permission?
10-minute block. Yep.
Yeah. So the gold bars that we own, sometimes we will lend those bars out. So those bars will be lent by us to somebody else.
They don't move. They
won't move.
It's a paper transaction.
But then we might get back a different gold bar, but still one that satisfies all the very stringent conditions for that gold bar to be in the Bank of England's vaults.
Well, given that the RBA has admitted that there's been fake gold bars, well, the Bank of England admitted to the RBA that there's been fake gold bars. How do you know a real gold bar hasn't been lent and you get a fake gold bar back?
Well, I think we've clarified that some of the problems with these gold bars that you're referring to were a very different type of gold bar, a much smaller gold bar than the ones that we have in our ownership. So we only deal with the much larger gold bars, and there have never been questions about the quality of those bars sitting in the Bank of England, some of which we own.
Sorry, I'll just finish up one question.
One tiny short question with a tiny short answer.
Alan Greenspan admitted in 1997 that if the price of gold took off, the central banks would lease gold out to basically suppress the price of gold. Australia's third biggest mineral export is gold, at $28 billion. To put that in context, our beef exports are $11 billion. Why is the RBA working with other central banks leasing out gold? You might pick up, $1 million on your side of the ledger,
Senator
but given that we've got $28 billion,
can you ask your question, please?
So why are you doing that? Why are you leasing out gold that's impacting the profitability of our gold miners in this country that employ over 100,000 people, directly or indirectly?
Well, my understanding is that some of the lending actually is to facilitate producers who occasionally need gold in their possession that they have not yet produced. They're going to produce it.
We don't move physical bars.
No, but they've promised the gold to somebody else, so we can lend it to them for a time until they obtain suitable gold to use for their purposes. So it's facilitating the market in helping producers.
Thank you, Senator O'Neill.
Yeah, that baffles me. You got to wonder how do you lend out something you don't have? I don't know. Maybe this isn't the right word, but it feels a bit fraudulent to me. To be lending something you don't have. Very, very strange indeed. Very, very strange. But I'd just like to share this little screen here. This is what I just took when I was saying hello. There you go. Look at that. Queensland Police Surveillance Drone and ASIO Surveillance Drone. Thanks, guys. Hello. Fuck you. So share that. Not very good. Not very good at their jobs, that's for sure. So anyway, share screen. It always seems to happen around podcast time, I notice too. It's funny. They must really want to know who Blackboard is. Shh, don't tell them. Anyways, let's have a look. What do we got here? So, central banks need to be brought under control of Parliament, he says, in relation to that particular post. Let's just move that there. So, the moment that support is blah, 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 blah. The whole remit for central banks only makes sense if it has social support and public support, and ultimately through this parliament and people like you. The moment that support is not there, central banks do not and should not have a role because we are unelected officials with enormous power. Yeah. These were quite refreshing remarks from the Deputy Governor of the RBA. It does beg the question, why isn't the RBA governor elected by the people? And if she isn't elected, then shouldn't the RBA be accountable to the people via the parliament who is elected? I'm pretty sure if a poll was to be taken as to whether or not central banks still had public support after COVID 1984, I'm just, fixing that obvious typo there, debacle, the answer would be no, which begs the question, should central banks even exist? That's a good question. Yeah, why should we have central banks from, perhaps foreign, controlled systems dictate how our economy functions? There was another good video I think we brought up several months ago regarding this, again, from our good senator. But anyway, my view is no, especially since the RBA refuses to release minutes of meetings with other central banks. No accountability and no transparency is not very democratic, considering money is the basis of all these things. The banks are a huge problem, massive problem. So anyway, let's keep moving on to some politics shit. Anthony Albanese is slammed for delaying election date announcement because of Cyclone Alfred. Any excuse, any excuse. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has been criticised over his decision to postpone calling an election date because of Cyclone Alfred. Mr. Albanese said on Friday night during an appearance on the ABC's 7:30 program that he would not announce the election date over the weekend while the government was focused on the cyclone. What a load of shit. No, you've decided that your polls aren't working in your favour, and for some strange reason you're going to benefit from this decision. Don't think so, mate. Cyclone Alfred was downgraded to a tropical low weather system on Saturday morning. However, there is still a danger of widespread flooding throughout southeast Queensland and northeast New South Wales as rivers continue to rise. Mr. Albanese had been widely expected to call an election date of April 12th. Anybody in those regions want to give us a bit of an update, in the comments as to how things are going for you guys? Is it anywhere near what they're trying to say? Anyway, Mr. Albanese had been widely expected to call an election date of April 12th. Why not pick April Fool's Day? We can pick our next fool. But anyway, since it is yet to be announced, it is now believed it will be held in May. The latest it can be held is May 17th. Oh my God, that's way too late. We want him gone now. Aussies took to social media platform X to slam the delay, which many accusing Mr. Albanese of using the storm to his political advantage. Never has a politician in this country ever used a natural disaster for their own political gain. I totally resent that. At no point have I ever seen politicians out there posing for photos, filling up sandbags for their own political gain. It just does not happen, okay? Don't get caught up in these conspiracy theories. People, seriously, be very careful. Now that Cyclone Alfred has been downgraded to a tropical low, Albanese obviously reached for a new low, but that's something different. There should be no reason for Albo not to call the election. Thank you. Call the election. No excuses. We want time to test the candidates. We want debates on the issues. We want change. Yes. Well, you're not going to get it by voting Liberal and Labor. Let's face it. Have we ever had change by voting Liberal and Labor? It's seriously, it's deciding which end of the wooden spoon you want to smack your own ass with. Come on. Delaying the inevitable bloodbath Labor will be experiencing, a third wrote. So lots of people are bloody ripping into him. So still waiting for the election to get rid of the elbow sleazy. Speaking of which, these are the kind of things we'll get from Green's Labor government. How losing control of your air conditioner may reduce blackouts and save money. Thanks, ABC, for the very polite suggestion. I've got a polite suggestion for you too. Sit on, pick your left or your right wing politics, sit on it and twist. Sips. On two of the hottest days so far this year, more than 150,000 air conditioners in Queensland were remotely controlled to power down to 50% capacity. Thanks, assholes. called Peak Smart. Oh, yeah, nothing like smart. I'm peaking, but not for this smart shit. The system is one way the energy grid can lower Queensland's power draw on days when the system is struggling to cope. How's about you build a system that isn't friggin' struggling, you morons? While it might sound frustrating on a hot day, no shit. No shit. I bet you they're not cutting the power in Parliament. What? Let's start by reducing all the air conditioners in the ABC building, Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10, all the Murdoch media newspapers, Parliament houses all across the country, all the billionaires. I think there's a good place to start. Lead by example, ladies and gentlemen, because they're the ones who are chewing up the most juice, and those are the ones who are living on the biggest purse strings, So let's start. You mob, lead by example. ABC, remove all your air conditioning from your buildings, because we're paying for it anyway, you bloody crooks. While it might sound frustrating on a hot day, John Gardner, a behavioral scientist at the CSIRO, I'll give you some bloody behavioral science, who focuses on the energy transition, from functional to non-functional, says systems like Peak Smart are actually some of the best ways of mishandling might be another word, disruptions. Turning down one air conditioner doesn't do anything. But if you turn 100,000 air conditioners, it gives the system a bit more breathing room. Okay, I'd just like to amend the previous list. Let's add CSIRO buildings and universities to also remove your friggin' air cons. All right. So, lead by example. If it's good for me, it's good for you too. All right, turning down one air conditioner. Eh? Well, there's a lot of universities. There's a lot of political buildings. There's a lot of places we can start with before you start hacking on the average resident. Some people who might have health conditions, some people who might be elderly and really feeling that heat. You don't give a shit. You indiscriminately just ruin everybody's lives. Everyone can keep having electricity instead of some losing it altogether. Oh, what a lovely, noble sentiment. I've got a better idea. Build some power plants that work. In a world powered increasingly by renewables, so we've identified the problem. In a world powered increasingly by unreliable non-renewables, let's amend this. Systems like Peak Smart that monitor and tweak when we use electricity are becoming necessary to make sure everyone can keep the lights on because your shit doesn't work, according to the morons who created this bloody situation. That's not experts, idiots who done this to us in the first place. But getting people to willingly dial down their air conditioner or switch to running their appliances in the middle of the day when you're at work? Wow, we should run our stuff during the middle of the day when your solar panels are functioning. Sorry, I've got to go to work, you bloody moron. These people are idiots. It takes a lot of indoctrination at a university to become this stupid. Or switch to the running their appliances in the middle of the day is not an easy feat. No shit. Because we're at work, you friggin' idiot. To pay for idiots like you. An unstable network. Yeah, I'm fucking unstable, all right. Watching Australia's energy network supply and demand over time shows a system in delicate balance. No, in absolute chaos because left-hearted morons like you. According to Dr. Gardner, the demand for electricity is both higher than ever and lower than ever. What? The demand for electricity is both higher than ever and lower than ever. Oh my God. You'd have to go, again, you got to go to school for a long time to come up with something this stupid at different points of the day. Oh, it's just beyond reckoning. The crap, the bile that comes out of these morons' mouths. We've got this big mix match between when we most generate electricity and we most use it. No shit, because we're at work when the solar panels are functioning, you fucking idiot. But you want me to stick cheap Chinese batteries on the side of my house so I can use it later at my expense. Thanks, man. That might just set my friggin' house on fire. You idiots. Aircon's not going to do much if the house is on fire. Between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., there is a huge boost of energy generation. I wonder why. There is all this extra energy coming from people's solar panels. You guys did this. You done it. You know what happens to that energy? It goes to burner farms and they just literally throw it back into the atmosphere. It does nothing. It's a waste of time. These people are stupid. Apparently, this is good news, but regular the price for electricity can. Right. It's more of this quality reporting we get from university students. This is good news, but regular the price for electricity can become negative during this part of the day, meaning there is too much energy being generated and not enough demand to use it. I've got an idea. How about you stop making me slave to pay for shit like the ABC and the government? We can all have a siesta. That's a good idea. You know what? We'll all stop working between what was the times they suggested? We'll say between 10 and 2. We all go home for siesta. I'm all for multicultural. Yeah, 10 and 2. There it is, between 10 and 2. So we go to work at 9 o'clock, work for an hour. Come home at 10 o'clock so you can cook your dinner and stuff using that power properly. And we'll go back to work at 2, work till 5 o'clock, come home. Sound like a good deal. I've just solved the problem for you bloody retards. Except my dinner's going to be cold by 6 o'clock. Fucking idiot. These people are morons. It's just infuriating me even further looking at this. Anyway, so apparently 3 Australian political parties, the Libertarians, Jared Rennick's People First, and the Heart parties have formed the Australia First Alliance joint ticket for the upcoming federal election. So that's some pretty exciting stuff. Australia First Alliance is in the works, and we might cut to the good senator. It's a long video. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to get it here and I'm going to post it to you guys. And you guys can watch it yourselves. Old mate, he's got a 28 minute, it's a 28 minute and 28 second video. Now that's synchronicity. So you guys go and watch that for yourselves because I don't really want to chew up the rest of the podcast just watching one video. And of course, I am going to chuck it in the Telegram for those of you who are not getting that coming through the comments. So go to the North Queensland Freedom Network Telegram page, subscribe to that, and you'll get all these little bonus bits and pieces that I throw in. It's a long video, so we're not going to add it to the stage. It is there, but it's good to see that some of the minor parties are forming an alliance. I've been suggesting this to minor parties for about a part of a decade. I reckon they're finally starting to catch on. It's about time. It sucks being ahead of the curve and realizing what needs to be done and being powerless to do much about it. But we might reach out to some of these people in the next coming weeks and see if we can get a couple of words from them, because I think it's very exciting. And, it'd be good to see some more of the freedom parties jump on board with this concept. I think it's the way forward. And as the senator does explain, I only watched like the first 5 or 10 minutes or something, he does explain that it is one way to sort of work against what these people are doing, as far as, Liberal Labor Party goes and screwing everybody over. So, what else have we got? Of course, as we started with Mr. Babette there, he was pointing out how, the mainstream media are dead and the government are obviously really having a good sook about that. But it's okay, because there's this lady called by the name of Ursula here. He's having a yarn to, the unelected globalists on how we can solve this problem. Have a look.
And finally, it takes resilience.
Sorry about the audio.
As technology evolves, we need to build up societal immunity around information manipulation. Because research has shown that pre-bunking is much more successful than debunking.
So in case you can't read it, she's basically said pre-bunking. So they're preemptively putting ideas in your head before we got to debunk, the truth, obviously. You got to read between the lines here, because they need to push their agenda in and they're struggling to get their agenda through.
Pre-bunking is basically the opposite of debunking. In short, prevention is preferable to debunking.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. You need to read because the audio sucks. I'm sorry about that. You're going to have to read. So basically pre-bunking is their thing, you know, because you need to queue up, perhaps, if you think.
Perhaps if you think of
Information manipulation as a mind virus. So they're trying to say, so they are, you got to read between the lines here. You know, she is, you know, a virus instead of treating an infection once it has taken hold.
Once it has taken hold, that is debunking.
That is debunking. So, you know, we'll give you the medicine after you get sick, you know, much like what they did with lockdown procedures. What they want to do is lock you down before you get sick. In other words, lock up the information system before you get a good dose of truth.
It is much better to vaccinate so that the body...
So again, vaccinate. It's much better to vaccinate the mind.
Inoculated. Pre-bunking is the same approach. Because disinformation relies on people passing it on to others.
So here, disinformation relies on these people passing it on to others.
It is essential that people know what malign information is.
So we need to know that these people are the source of malign information. I'm going to retranslate it as it goes.
And what the techniques are that are behind it.
And we've got to understand their techniques and how they do it, which is why I've given everybody a copy of the Wolves in Sheep's Clothing available on Telegram for you to read and understand how they've done it and what they're most likely going to do in the future.
And as the knowledge goes up, our chances of being influenced goes down.
So that's it. Build up your immunity to the bullshit engine by getting your level of knowledge up, which is why I share information, because I'm such a horrible person.
And that builds up the society resilience that we will need.
So, of course, this scumbag isn't talking about sorry, she's not talking about doing the right thing by us. She's talking about, you know, reversing everything she says is the way to look at this, you know, because they're trying to make it sound like they're doing you a favor, but what they're really doing is whipping you harder, you know. Govern me harder, as the lady from that excuse me video we had before really pointed out. So what do we got? So actually, let's do another Rennick one. So we'll sort of shift our attention to a little bit more on the constant war scenario here. Looks like, so let's just bring this next one in here into our realm of war. Doesn't have what bits I wanted. Things aren't working the way I wanted. So anyway, a little bit of nah, I'm not going to bother with that one. What else we got here? Let's go to the health food section. You know, what do we got in health food? RFK, can't go wrong with that.
Has completely lost its way, and now it's making a power grab to try to, try to give itself the power to declare pandemics and then impose healthcare policy on its member nations, and it's really it's almost laughable. It's so insane, and of course I'm not going to let them do anything like that. And I will, I'll defund the WHO. The WHO has now become an instrument for China, for Davos, for the Billionaires Boy Club in Davos. And for the pharmaceutical industry and for the big ag industry. And those are the issues that it promotes. It shouldn't be dictating global health policies, or it shouldn't be involved in these giant vaccination programs unless the vaccines are tested and actually show that they're saving lives. And they can't do that. And, the idea that it should be dictating to the United States what our internal health policies is just that's lunacy on a scale that is almost would have been unimaginable even a decade ago.
There you have it. We need to get away from these horrific institutions. Let's have a look at some of the articles that go along with these constructs. So, from the Defender, inhumane, reckless, critics weigh in on Europe's approval of self-amplifying COVID mRNA vaccines. What could go wrong with a self-amplifying COVID experimental genetic therapy? Like, wow. Europe has approved a self-amplifying COVID-19 mRNA vaccine for ages 18 and up. I feel sorry for all the poor Europeans still fucking running around in face nappies thinking this is a good idea. The move drew criticism from scientists. What? Scientists actually still have a backbone? Wow. Who cited several concerns, including high rates of serious side effects among clinical trial patients and no long-term safety data. Wow, where have we heard this shit before? Europe has approved self-amplifying mRNA vaccination for ages 18 and up. The move drew criticism from scientists who cited several concerns. Yeah, we did that bit. The European Commission, the European Union's primary executive body, on February 14th, granted marketing authorization for ARCT 154, marketed as Kostaive. I wonder how much does it cost? There's the words in there, a vaccine manufactured by CSL and Arcturus Therapeutics. Japanese regulators were the first to approve it. The ARCT 154 shot, which the country made available for the 2024-2025 season to people 65 and over. Wow, try to kill off their aging population, I guess, and 60 to 64-year-olds with severe underlying conditions. Oh, yeah, because like severe underlying conditions and experimental gene therapies are such a good mix. Self-amplifying mRNA vaccines, that name just absolutely kills me. Self-amplifying, it's like self-replicating nanobots or something, are similar to synthetic mRNA vaccines in that they both contain foreign mRNA that the body cells translate into a protein. However, unlike synthetic mRNA vaccines, self-amplifying vaccines also contain an enzyme that instructs the body on how to make more mRNA. So, wow, cool. They're going to turn your body into a factory that's producing this shit. That's horrible. What a horrific thought. What makes self-amplifying mRNA so worrisome is that the mRNA will perpetuate indefinitely. Perpetuate indefinitely, says Carl. Is that a Yoblonovsky? I don't know. Jay gets so many different pronunciations. Anyway, senior research, or is it a Y in this case? I don't know. Senior research scientist at Children's Health Defense, Joblanovsky. Anyway, explained that the traditional COVID-19 mRNA vaccines, at least there is some solace in knowing the original mRNA will break down and stop production of spike protein. So eventually that vile shit will stop killing you and causing problems, hopefully. Nicholas Hellsearcher, an epidemiologist of the McCarran Foundation, who writes on Substack, called Europe's approval a grave mistake. Grave mistake. These products behave like synthetic viruses. So, wow, the cure has become a virus. The replicon mRNA is designed to encode, not only the target antigen, but also viral replicates, enabling the mRNA to replicate itself within the target cells. This replication machinery allows for an unknown period of toxic antigen production. And it goes on and on and on. There's heaps and heaps there for you guys. Anybody who wants to know more, feel free to continue reading. And of course, I'll chuck that into the Telegram as well so that people can see it. That's pretty disturbing stuff. Of course, is anybody surprised Australia records unprecedented death surge among COVID vaccinated? My heart goes out to the poor people who partook in this horrific experimentation. Alarming official government data has exposed a devastating surge in excess deaths among Australian citizens who willingly moved into the clot shot vaccines. The data has revealed that Australia suffered a historic surge of all-cause excess mortality among the nation's COVID vaccinated population. Australia has one of the highest COVID vaccine uptake rates in the world. So we got the dodgiest batches, did we? A major new study has found that Australia recorded skyrocketing excess deaths after the COVID mRNA vaccines were rolled out in early 2021. I want everybody to remember this when you go into the polls, and remember this when you're thinking, should I do a little bit more to help out my independents and my minor parties? Yes, you bloody well should, because this will happen again if you don't. A team of, and that's my predictions for the future. I checked my crystal ball and it says, you know what, you're probably right. Anyway, a team of medical and population health researchers at the University of Nicosia Medical School in Cyprus conducted the study. Wow. So they had to go to Cyprus, all the way over in Greece, to get a study done on all-cause mortalities in Australia. That is very disturbing. Importantly, Dr. Demetrio and colleagues urge in the key message that all nations investigated experience continued all-cause excess mortality during 2022. The researchers compared excess deaths from all causes in 2022 to the data for pre-pandemic years. Experts around the world have been raising questions about the surging excess mortality rates during and after the pandemic. Plandemic is a better term. So yeah, there's a lot to go into all this sort of stuff. Again, we're going to keep moving. Anybody want a copy, just email me. Far North Queensland Cookshire Council votes to stop fluoridating water. Good. Well, I'd read it, but it's from the ABC, so there's probably just filled with a whole bunch of propaganda and bullshit about how fluoride's really good for you. But I'd just like to congratulate the good people up in Cooktown, in the Cookshire Council region, for actually putting their butts into gear and working really hard. I have been communicating with these people. Hope to get somebody there to have a yarn about this in time. You know, of course, you know, South Cape York Council will stop fluoridating its largest town water supply, with councillors narrowly voting in favour of removing the mineral. It's not a mineral, it's a toxic waste at a fiery meeting, you know. So the people got together and really, you know, brought it home here. You know, you can see there's a lot of this is what it looks like when you get your shit together, ladies and gentlemen, and give them a good kick. You know, make sure they know that their jobs are in serious jeopardy here, particularly people who, you know, have done the wrong thing. Votes to keep fluoride. So Justin wanted to keep it. He should go. Make sure that one is voted out. Sarah Martin also needs to be voted out. Robin Holmes also needs to be voted out. These people do not have the best interests of the people. So, you know, and it's going to save Cookshire ratepayers $18,000 a year. You know, something that Townsville City Council should consider, as we are hemorrhaging money from so many bad ideas such as this, you know, bad governance, more money laundering perhaps might be what's going on. Of course, you know, lining the pockets of union members and other scumbags around town is very important. More than 150 major health organizations worldwide, including the WHO, who, you know, recommended lockdowns and forcing jabs and all that. You know, those people we should trust. The Australian Medical Association and the Australian Dental Association support water fluoridization. Of course you do. You know what? You support it. Go buy your own fluoride, shove it up your butt. You can shelve that idea, because we don't want it. Shove it up your butt. U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has announced that the United States will defund the WHO and will refuse to participate in their efforts to turn themselves into a global health police. And we bloody well should too. Remember that as we come into the elections. No more Liberals, no more Labor, no more Greens. They must go. Get in there and support your local independents and minor freedom parties. The push to militarize the WHO is coming from the pharmaceutical lobby. Is anyone surprised? Who looked into Codex Alimentarius back before 2010 when that superseded the Australian health and food and health administration that we had in place until that day? 1st of January 2010. I checked at 3 o'clock in the morning. They had an ABN and everything. The day before, they did not. I wish I had a screenshot of it. But anyway, the profit from this would be in the hundreds of billions. One Nation agrees the WHO has been compromised and pledges to withdraw from the WHO. We will refuse to cooperate in any matter that does not provide a direct medical benefit to the everyday Australians. So they say that. I'll look forward to them actually, really sticking to the guns there. We'll see what happens. Queensland government to recover unpaid COVID hotel quarantine fees. Good luck. Queensland government has vowed to recover unpaid hotel quarantine fees from the COVID-19 pandemic. Congratulations to all the people who said, hey, we ain't paying it. You know why? Because it was, what's the term I'm looking for? There's a term for it. Unsolicited service. It was an unsolicited service. You did not want it. You did not sign any agreements. It was forced and imposed upon you. Why should you pay it? Apparently, they've waived 448 million. Is that to all their friends? But we've got 31 million still unpaid. Congratulations to all those people. Keep fighting. Of course, 6.9 was written off. Well, those are the people who wrote the letters properly and said this is an unsolicited service, shove it up your ass. And the 172.1 million of idiots who paid it. Guys, what were you thinking? Imagine if this was the unpaid. Hey, that would send a big, clear message. You clog up the entire system for eons, trying to get through that. So, yeah, apparently they're going to clamp down on you. Fight harder, people. Keep fighting. South Korea issues emergency mRNA warning. 6 billion people now have VAIDS. So let's just remember, they want everybody to, get more of these inhumane, latest self-amplifying COVID ones. Just remember that the ones before have now given people VAIDS, vaccine AIDS. The harder they try to bury the truth, the more undeniable it becomes. A team of top South Korean researchers has detonated a scientific bombshell. A massive gold standard study of 9 million people exposed the dark reality of COVID-1984 mRNA vaccines. Far from delivering lasting protection, the vaccines are systematically dismantling immune systems, triggering a devastating there's a word that should be in there, disease perhaps. I don't know, fill in the blank. What word do you think should be there? Because they forgot it. Triggering a devastating fill in the blanks called VAIDS, vaccine acquired immune deficiency syndrome. Not good, not good. The evidence is peer-reviewed. The numbers are staggering and the implications cataclysmic. Once mocked as a wild conspiracy, VAIDS is now a plague, tearing apart the lies of the media machine and shaking the foundations of trust in medicine itself. Well done, guys. That's what you've achieved, is people no longer trust the current medical system because it is clearly profit based. This is really, really big stuff. So complicit politicians, media mouthpieces, and so-called media medical experts are desperate to bury the truth, but the anger is only growing as the body count rises and undeniable patterns emerge. The public is waking up, and make sure that bloody awakening is well and truly smashed home this time around. In the federal election, Woody Harrelson tears apart Anthony Fauci in an extraordinary Joe Rogan chat. There's something to check out. Go and have a look at Joe Rogan's thing where he rips right into him. He accused Dr. Anthony Fauci of doing some extraordinary evil shit during his time as the director of National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. The Cheers actor, 63, and also Natural Born Killers actor, great movie, joined podcaster Joe Rogan, and of course Zombieland, that was a good one too. Joe Rogan on his show, The Joe Rogan Experience, on Saturday, as the pair talked about the hopes for the country's future in health. Harrelson described Robert F. Kennedy, the United States Secretary of Health and Human Services, as heroic and a man who cares deeply, just before comparing his views with Fauci is 84, who also served as former President Joe Biden's chief medical advisor. has long been under fire for his views on vaccines, especially when it came to COVID-19 pandemic. The Hunger Games star brought up the disgraced doctors' push for the AZT as a dopamine vaccine back in the 80s during the AIDS crisis, which, again, if you want to know more about, you should check out Carrie Mullis's book. I'll just bring it up quickly because it's out on the shelf. Surfing in the Minefield, I believe it was called, something to that effect. So this is what you want to get yourself a copy of. Dancing Naked in the Minefield. Great book. Well, I couldn't put it down. One of the first things, again, I read after watching the BBC documentary on how bad, the Americans have done things to their own people. This book is absolutely brilliant. Get yourself a copy. Have a read. It really points out just how bad Anthony Fauci is and how long people have known what a criminal he is. Very important book. It has so much amazing information in it. It is well worth reading, Might just chuck a quick video in because I can see our wonderful guest Alan is ready to join us. So we're just going to throw a little transitional video in. Let's play roulette and see what comes up. Video file. Okay. So this is an interesting one. It's a little bit off center, but we're bringing it back to the wartime thing, and I really want to wonder how the hell this torpedo ended up where it did.
Has been thrown into lockdown after a torpedo washed up on its shores. Authorities say the weapon had been floating around at sea for months.
This is no message in a bottle.
Some members of the public reported seeing an object that looked like a torpedo.
This anti-submarine warfare torpedo was spotted by morning walkers at Main Beach just after sunrise.
Police have responded, put up some cordons, assisted by lifeguards.
Defence Force personnel soon swarming the sand, later confirming it was one of their own, used recently in a training exercise.
It's a Mark 54 torpedo. It's a sophisticated underwater guided missile, if you will.
Australia purchased 200 Mark 54 torpedoes from the United States about 15 years ago.
You would not want one of those guidance systems being handed over to an unfriendly country.
During training, explosives are removed. The warhead on the front of the device is usually swapped for a lead weight.
The lead weight was dropped and the torpedo floated to the surface, where it is buoyant, just a few metres long, weighs about 200 kilograms. It is relatively difficult to find. It is surprising, though, that they didn't find it, and it's surprising that it ended up here.
They're typically fired from an MH-60R Seahawk helicopter. The Defence Force remains tight-lipped about how it ended up becoming lost at sea before landing here. It's believed it happened during a training exercise off Australia's east coast months ago.
It was known to be missing, I think.
There's barnacles on it, so it has obviously been floating around the ocean for a considerable period of time.
Stranger things have washed up before, including a German World War II mine that rolled into Surfers Paradise Beach in 1966. That was dragged away and set alight.
Best fireworks I've ever had.
Today's find now back in safe hands. Paige Van Lunteren, 9 News.
I like that. They say it's back in safe hands. Whose safe hands? The ones who misplaced the device in the first place? I don't bag our wonderful Defence Force. I like to think that they're going to defend us against the Chinese onslaught. I don't know how well that's going to work, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully they're not missing any more vital pieces of defense material. Keep an eye out on the beaches, I guess. It would be a horrific shame if, during some sort of testing exercise that the Chinese are conducting, if one of those just happened to hit one of their battle fleets. So, imagine what could happen. Anyway, let's introduce our wonderful guest here. Alan, how are you, brother?
Yeah, good, mate. Yourself?
Not too shabby, mate. Not too shabby. Now, I'm going to see if I can get some sort of reduced background noise on you. That's not. We've got a little bit of bleed through, but I think that's fixed it a bit. So that's a good start. So, mate, our council Truth. What have they done this time, my friend?
So it turns out, with regard to the Amaroo legal issue, that the council have actively sought people with regard to their view of the development, and their view of the development is 3 months in 12-month stay in any one period. So that obviously gets rid of the long-term renters and the long-term people that are staying there in their own units.
So they're looking to develop the area. Is that where we're going with this?
Well, we don't know what's behind the council drive to do this. What we do know, there was a complaint by a particular person in the Amaroo Body Corporate Committee who made a series of complaints. In 2022, he had conversations with Anne-Marie Greenie. In January 23.
Is this just one person? Is that correct? One
Yeah,
person?
just one person, yeah.
So all this is because one person complained, yet, you know, you got people like Tina who are complaining about, you know, dog shit and smells and horrible, disgusting things happening from a neighbour, and nothing happens.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
you know, it depends. He might have been, you know, a member of the Labor Party, who knows? That's why his issues are resolved faster than others, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, in January 23, the council made their decision that the development, instead of being allowed to rent there and stay there full time, you can only live there 3 months in a 12-month period. And the council spread that around to all real estate agents, saying that that was the case. And obviously in October 23, the council asked for a declaration from the court saying that their new point of view was the right one, and that's the end of the matter.
So where does this leave the people at the moment then?
Well, this leaves the people with the question: why wasn't there any public consultation whatsoever? Surely, if the council were changing this criteria in January 2023, they should have had some sort of consultation with the stakeholders. How do you feel about this? Who would be affected? What groups would be affected? That didn't happen. And again, in October 2023, when they lodged their application, again no community consultation. So Anne-Marie's first stance was in 23 that she can't talk about the matter because it's in front of legal. And then her next stance was in 24, she can't talk about it because it's in front of a court. You'll remember in March 2023, she got in front of I think it was Channel 7 and said, no, we're not in the business of throwing people out. Well, the council have actively sought.
They clearly are.
Actively sought out, and there's other people in the body corporate to bolster the council's case. So when the council say they've got no opinion one way or the other, they just want a declaration, that's rubbish. The council have actively sought out this way, and have actively sought people out to bolster their case.
That's definitely the case. They're using ratepayer money to push their point of view. You know, if they were interested in a peaceful resolution, they could have sat down and had a yarn about it with the people.
Yeah. Well, the ridiculous thing is that, you know, through consultation and engagement, we could have resolved a lot of issues, and the case has got so many issues it's not funny. Like at present, there are people that the council haven't recognised. These are long-term renters that will be affected. We wanted a third response from the council with regard to mediation, and Joe McGade said no. But I've since found out that these sessions are only negotiation, they're not mediation, because the mediator, the state mediator has to be there to officially sanction the mediations. So he wasn't there in the second one. So when the CEO said, "Oh no, we can't have a third one," well, there really wasn't a second one because the mediator wasn't there. So
Oh, wow.
he and through our documents too, and through the court, it's Joe McGabe that's pushing this in the council. Well, this is a person that's a bureaucrat. What in earth is a CEO wanting to do this to these people? You know, and these are vulnerable people. I mean, any society that doesn't value the very young and the very old is a broken society, as far as I'm concerned. And this council is supposed to be voted for the people, by the people, to look after the people, but they're throwing the people out. So how broken is this council? And morally, it's bankrupt. So if anyone out there is talking to David Christofouli, the Premier, just say, right, this Townsville City Council is now throwing elderly out. You know, that's another good reason to sack this council and start again.
Yep, I agree. That's bad, and not to mention the majority of them can't even answer an email, and that was before they decided to put in, procedures to willingly ignore people. Like they I don't know that they needed those procedures. They were already willingly ignoring us, and even posing as the mayor.
Yeah, so really, you've got a council here that's that broken that they take a wage from the ratepayer, but they're not willing to work for the ratepayer. You know.
That's really good to hear, Tina. Tina, can we bring that comment back up, please? Tina has been fighting against the council for a long time, and she's just given us an update that they've finally given an enforcement notice for the broken fence that she's been trying to deal with. And she now has to drain the pool/swamp, which gives you an idea of the state of the pool. She also has brought new dogs, lied to council saying she's looking after a friend's dog whose house was flooded in the recent event. She's not allowed any more dogs. By the way, her house stinks like a urinal. Council claims they can't smell it. What are they sending people over there with no sense of smell, Tina? Like, you got to wonder, We'll look a little bit more into Tina's story at some point too. I think we might get Tina on to have a bit of a yarn about that. We might have to go over and perhaps get some nasal experts in there. Anybody with a sense of smell perhaps would like to come over and give a testimony to what's going on. Let's shine a bit of a light on that one. I think, but that's for a later date.
Well, Mark, with regard to that similar sort of subject, in town I rent a place and it's at the lower end of the sewage system and it always overflows and the council's procedure is that after it finishes overflowing, I ring them, they come out, they clean up the mess, disinfect and all that sort of stuff.
So can we just get a little bit more detail on this sewage issue? Do you have like the sewage thing sort of on your property or is it close to your property? Paint us a picture.
No, well, I've got a manhole on the footpath in front of the neighbour's place, and that basically exploded. So water does go uphill, and then I've got a vent on my property.
So that it was literally pushing shit uphill.
Yes. So that then covers my yard. So I rang the council and said, "Hey, listen, my sewage has stopped flowing after 2 weeks," and they said, "Congratulations, you were the first one to ring," and then hung up.
Really? That's it?
Yep.
There's service with a smile.
Yeah. So why would you pay your rates? There's been a lot of people, and on the subject of rates too. I mean, if people are feel that they can't physically protest or they can't physically do any actions like that, the action that a ratepayer can do is either defer rates or be put on a payment plan. That slows the revenue of the council, and that will put them into a lot of pain too, because they're relying on these rates to they borrow from Paul to pay Buddy Peter.
Yeah.
And if we can slow that down, that'll put a bigger hex on this council, and at some point the state government's going to say, no, it's too broken. we're coming in and putting administrators in, and then obviously the process takes over. Then we have a by-election, and these clowns get voted out.
Yeah. So it's an interesting idea there. I'm not going to encourage people to abuse the system, but if you genuinely, are hard up for a buck and struggling to pay, then yeah, definitely go on that payment plan. And so as
Yeah,
I understand it, so long as you're paying something, they can't come and take your house. So as I understand it, this is not advice. I'm not encouraging people to do it in any way, shape, or form. But so as long as you're paying something and doing your best, especially these times where the cost of living is going through the roof, and and it's all good. I understand the council's even recently given themselves yet another pay increase a few months back.
Yeah,
Because
pat on the back. We're managing the council budget really well. We're under $600,000 in debt, so that's a big tick for us. We saved, I think, $1 million in savings. I don't know whether that was a few, managing or directors leaving, so that they saved that money, so they patted themselves on the back. I mean, I went down, where is it? Ingham Road the other day, and they're doing the strip of garden there between Ingham Road and the railway line there between Hughes Street and where the old Land of Milk used to be, or I think it's Langdon Street there. And I saw 3 council workers, working in the heat, and hat off to them. But there were 6 traffic controllers there. So we outweigh the workers, 2 to 1 on traffic control. I mean, I've been told it's 3 to 1.
Who's running the traffic control here? Like, is this another union-driven sort of thing, or?
Oh no, well, to be honest, I mean, it was a large area, and there's no doubt that there was work for 6 traffic controllers given that large area. But if you're putting 6 traffic controllers to work, wouldn't you at least match that with workers, or if not double that, to get the best value for the ratepayer? I mean,
Yeah.
this is
So they
just
get more
insane.
work done in that time rather than
Yeah,
having, yeah.
for those same setup costs, but this is a council who doesn't care. They're not accountable. I mean, we've got solicitors running bills that they're not accountable for. They could be on the Amaroo issue 1 minute, and another issue on the parking meters for the rest of the time. No one would really know.
Yeah. No, it's beyond a joke, man. But coming back to that sewage thing, because as I understand it, you're not the only one in town that's had that problem during our recent little flooding event. Obviously, sewage pipes have been pushing shit uphill all around town, flooding it into people's yards and whatnot. So the procedure there, as I understand it, is the council comes out and they spray some miracle cure over the top of it, which breaks down all the compounds and whatnot. But what happens then?
Well, they actively pick up whatever they can, and then they spray it, and then they say to me every time, they say, "Oh, people are putting their stormwater into the sewage." 3 to 6 months later, they do the smoking test and go, "Yep, we've captured all the culprits," and then it happens again. This has been going on for, I don't know, 17 odd years, and this is
Wow.
in division. This is in Division 9. Liam Mooney. So yeah, so they're not interested in helping anyone,
No. No, Liam Mooney's more worried, I think, about, making sure him and his dad are at the next TEL meeting, since his old man's got a lifetime membership there and he's now on the board, as I understand it. Let's let's just have a quick look at that. Towns. Actually, I had to educate AI about this the other day.
All right.
As AI couldn't find it. I actually had I directed it to the website and said, search this website looking for, specific anomalies regarding, councillors and former councillors and mayors and whatnot. And, and even directed it to, the Wayback Machine and all that. And it still struggled to find this information. But, yeah, board of directors. Here it is. So there's nothing to see here, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I mean, this is just business as usual in Townsville. You know, I think it was a statement you said when we were working on your videos. You know, this is Townsville. It's not corruption. It just looks like it.
Yeah.
You know. So Kevin Gill, chairman of Townsville Enterprise, as I understand, was also, you know, pretty high up at the Townsville Airport at one point. But Liam Mooney, you know, like no conflict of interest here. You know, partners with all the usual suspects. Townsville Airport, yep, cool. He was a part of that too. I don't know if he still is. I have to look into that one. But you know, his old man's also got a lifetime membership. You know, Daddy's got a lifetime membership. You know, for you know the Townsville Enterprise. You know, and conveniently, his son, a councillor, is also on the board. You know, so there's an extra pay packet for him to ignore shit being pushed uphill.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he gets a wage for that position.
I would dare say there'd be some sort of benefits in some way, shape, or form as a basic assumption. You know, there's you know, they're partnered with the Townsville City Council and various other places. You know, it's everybody, all the usual suspects scratching each other's backs. You know, so yeah. And it's just part of it. It's something I'm working on. I've found quite a few little links backwards and forwards in certain way, shapes, or form. And I just like to say to Liam too, just watch out for them leaf blowers, mate. I know that they're a bit of a health hazard. Do watch out for them. You know, chased by a leaf blower. So was it assaulted by a leaf blower? You know, not told to get off the property of somebody who doesn't want you there. You're invading parasite. No, he was assaulted with a leaf blower. What a knob! What a knob!
And then had to use language that was so defamatory it wasn't funny.
Yeah, that's it. He certainly had all the nice things to say to a voter. How the hell this bloody idiot got in is beyond me. You know, absolutely beyond me. So anyway, so the mirror meeting, I believe you know, all forces are out now that you know I'm not allowed back, and you know people from the mainland aren't allowed to be there, and you know Greenie was fearing for her life or whatever crap she come up with.
Yeah, so at the December meeting, she basically stated that she wasn't happy with the conduct of the meeting to the CEO, Joe McGabe, and he apparently had words with Mike Cameron, and from there, they went to and fro. The issue was that they wanted to tone down the meeting. She felt either in fear of her life or whatever. And Joe McGabe stepped in and said to Cameron that he's the chairman of the Mirror, that you need to tone it down, or there won't be any staff and won't be any councillors attending, because at the December meeting, you know, apparently staff were threatened too. Although when you look at the attendance at the December meeting, there weren't any staff there. So
yeah,
you know,
so
let's just
mystery.
Let's just call it what it is, just a lot of bullshit. But
Yep.
At the last Mirror meeting, Joe turned up and Mark Richardson turned up, the director for infrastructure, and Anne-Marie turned up. So they basically answered all the questions. So when Anne-Marie turned up, there weren't any answers left. So she was left asking, does anyone have any questions for me? So, but the thing is that when you ask Anne-Marie, she basically says, you know, I'll take that on notice. I don't actually know. So she's not over her electorate, which is quite sad. And the other issue that happened at the Mirror meeting that Joe said was a good one, that it was the first for a Mirror to actually throw someone out. So when Matt Richardson said, "Oh, you know, well, we did a fix on the reservoir, which was just a quick fix, and now we're actually going to do the proper job," Well, Mira was informed by Anne-Marie Greening herself that she'd done a proper job in the first place, and there was no need for any other work. So this lady said to Matt Richardson, well, what about the first good job? What about that? And he said, no, it was only a temporary job. And she said, well, you're lying. So because he was offended, and he said, I'm offended. I've been in the ADF for 20 odd years, and all this sort of rubbish. Well, he's probably in the ADF, but she was commenting on his role as the council director for infrastructure, not Matt Richardson, the person. So he took it personally. It was a direction that he should have known that Anne-Marie had said, no, we'd already done a permanent job. So he should have then said, oh, no, Anne-Marie was mistaken. He never. He just pushed the lie ahead. So he was called out as a liar. And Cameron Turnbull, the chairman of Mira, ejected her from the meeting.
So she's called out a lie.
Yep.
And actually demonstrably prove that. And Cameron, the guy who's running the meeting, gets rid of the person who pointed out a lie.
Yeah, and he would have known himself that was a lie because I believe he was there. Or if he wasn't there, he would have known about it.
One must question, where Cameron's loyalties lie then. Is it with the people of Magnetic Island, or is it running protection for the council then, is the question I ask.
You've got to ask the question. One of the goals of Mira is to give people a voice. Well, he's silencing their voice. So is he up to the job? And is he the person for the job? Is the question that everyone's asking now. But here's the kicker. So the meeting went ahead and continued after the lady got thrown out.
So when she was thrown out, or asked to leave the building, get out, you're no longer welcome.
Yep. And she said, yep, fine, packed the gear up and left. Yep. So then Matt Richardson then spoke to everyone and said the dredge spoil from the Nellie Bay Harbour, what we're going to do with it, we're going to mix it with lime and turn it into topsoil. Of course, the problem with this sludge is it's got high levels of salt. And if anyone knows out there that's done any sort of gardening, salt is
You
bad
don't salt the earth. You don't salt the earth. That's biblical.
It's done. Once it's got that level of salt, it's done. So you've got to fix that first. So he believes just putting lime in this concoction was going to turn it to topsoil. So a bloke at the back, Jono, I won't give his surname now, but he said that's absolute bullshit.
Yep.
He's of the stature of about 6'2", 6'3", and probably about the same width across the shoulders. But he wasn't ejected from the meeting. It was okay. So for a woman to say, "Hey, listen, that's bullshit," she gets ejected, but a man, because of his size, was not. So
that's a theory. Well, like we don't know for sure that it was because of this person's size, I assume. But it seems a logical conclusion to draw, and we know these bullies because that's what the way the council functions. Sorry, I keep getting this hair from my mustache, bloody tickling my nose. It's driving me nuts. I have to go do some grooming, but again, you see bullies love to pick on weak targets. So, and given the nature of the way the Townsville City Council is operating, and it seems sadly, the person running the Magnetic Island Mirror meeting is also, seems to be following the same suit, because they certainly didn't want to stand up too much to me when I, basically stood my ground with a camera. They tried, but they were losing that word war pretty badly.
Well, the object to you, obviously, taking that video footage was one, you're holding to an account, and two, they had to make something up because that wasn't sustainable. Oh, he's a political person and he's running a political agenda. I mean,
what's my political agenda? Can we get that on record?
Yeah, so look at UAP. We've got bloody Batty Party for Australia out there, So the sky's the limit with this bullshit,
Oh
And
yeah, they'll concoct whatever they can.
yeah. So any sort of accountability they want to get rid of, and obviously they did that, and that's quite sad. But hopefully if there's a new chairman at Mirror, he'll allow that, and we'll get better transparency in.
Well, I hope for the sake of the people on Magnetic Island that they do start to realise that perhaps it's time to get a change of leadership there. I know Cameron expressed to me personally that he really wanted the people from the council to be there. I don't understand why. He's a lawyer and he couldn't even find a reason to get rid of me, especially once I pointed out the law says we have a right to political communication, and she's come in here wearing a Councillor Greenie hat. She's got no right to say she can't be filmed. You're acting as a public person. You can't work with this. So and he was speechless. So he tried to dodge the bullet. I'm like, no, I'm going to show you the legislation, mate, because you're a lawyer. You should appreciate that, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
And then he got off. What does that mean? Again, testing me to see if I know what I'm talking about, which clearly I played. But on that note, here, Alan, I want to have a look. Would you like to say hello to the Queensland Police surveillance drone P3 and ASIO surveillance drone 814 that I observed flying in vicinity of my Wi-Fi today?
Oh, that's today.
That's today.
Oh my
As
God.
opposed to the one I showed you the other day.
So does that mean I'm going to have a visit by two bloody vans and people with dark suits jump out and give me a bit of a waterboarding?
I don't know, but I advise keeping a camera on you at all times. They haven't knocked on my door, but I just thought I'd say hello and be polite.
Yeah.
So just thought I'd share that with you. Obviously it's not just the me turning up to Magnetic Island Mirror meetings that's a threat. Just me sitting in my little room here is also of interest to national security.
Yeah. Maybe they can see the Batman symbol in the background and they're coming to your aid. Who knows?
They seen my cries for help.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, there we go. They've seen the cries for help. They're like, cool. So ASIO think they're Batman now?
Oh, God knows. They can do whatever they like and when they like,
Very interesting. Very interesting stuff. So is there anything else you'd like to share about council while we got you here, buddy?
Mate, well, I'd like to continue on with the Mirror meeting. So at the Mirror meeting, they also said that they're going to continue on with the dredging despite the opposition from the people over the island. There were questions with regard to the community use land that's now being used for a heavy industrial site. There's also issues there with the site of the smell. I don't know whether you know it or not, but mangrove mud is decomposing matter, leaf litter and stuff, and it is quite pungent. Unlike other things that are quite pungent, once they dry up, they sort of lose their smell a little bit. This just keeps on giving. The council have heard all these, and they're still continuing on. Our advice from Matt Richardson, the Director for Infrastructure, was this is the only site where this is going to happen. No other sites are suitable, so that's a load of rubbish straight away. And he said that we are going to continue on. The issue with the bridge at Seaning Street.
Is that the one? That's the one that got completely decimated, isn't it?
Yeah. So what happened there? Oh, we had an explanation from the Director for Infrastructure, but it was more rubbery than anything. So, obviously he didn't do civil work in the army. But having said that, the bridge is stuffed. He was asked, do we have a design? Do we have a start date? And he said, no, we don't. We're still talking to the parties. I mean, this happened halfway through, just after, I think, the 22nd of December.
So I thought I was going to sneeze then.
Yep. the 22nd of December that this bridge was damaged, and you know, they still don't have all these issues resolved yet, you know, and we're what are we bloody 3 months into the fact, and you know, this is the main thoroughfare for Magnetic Island, still not done.
Yep.
So the question was, because all the vehicles have to divert around and basically come down Kelly Street, the question was put to him, if this bridge is down and all this extra traffic is going along Kelly Street, you know, you're putting 1,200 trucks up Kelly Street to take all this dredge spoil away. What will that look like? And are you still going ahead? And you know, he said, oh no, the council can.
So that's the bridge we're talking about. And you can see the amount of debris that's just like totally clogged up here. And this is before, like, afterwards, this whole bridge is pretty much smashed. I'm still trying to find that smashed photo. I've got it around here somewhere. But in this particular,
So that's
a few
obviously,
cracks.
yeah, so that was the start of it. And obviously, that's it.
Yeah. Once the real rain came in, it just washed the bridge right away, pretty much.
Yeah.
So you can see, you know, this is the cause, is all the shit, you know, and that it can't flow.
So the problem was that a pipe dropped down, and the bridge was still intact. However, with all this debris up there, the water then went up in and weakened that bit where the pipe went down, eroded it, and then took the asphalt too.
Yeah.
So you can see that pipe there where it's dropped in that last one. So that is the initial problem there, and then you've got the creek itself not being cleaned properly, and then then it's overflowed and then created that open sore that you see there.
Yeah. Now I'll see if I can find what ended up becoming of that, because it's like, yeah, the bridge is proper stuff now.
Yeah.
I know I got it here somewhere. Just a case of going through all the stuff that I have.
But yeah, no, the council are going to do two jobs at once. They're going to fix the bridge, and they're going to run all this dredge spoil up to 55 Kelly Street. And the director for infrastructure, Matt Richards, has said, no, we can do two jobs at once. And of course, someone sang out straight away and said, mate, the council's never been able to do two jobs at once successfully.
Yeah, I thought it was rather ambitious.
So it's all sorts of broken. You know, you've got all these people using 50 Kelly Street now. You've got all these trucks going there. You know, you've got holiday makers. You know, I mean, what possibly could go wrong? You know, it's just a perfect storm. You know.
Hey, it's disgraceful. I can't seem to find that photo, but anyway, like we definitely know that like that bridge is pretty much proper stuff now. And how long are they saying before they can even get in there and do anything about that?
Well, they're looking at 12 to 24 months. Someone, you know, a bit of tongue in cheek said, "Oh, you know, it'll be Anne Marie's next election promise." So, 4 years. So.
How tongue in cheek is it? It's possibly more accurate than, you know.
Well, that's what I said to him. I said, "Mate, just be careful what you wish for," you know.
Yeah.
But at that same mirror meeting too, one of the other issues was that Adam Bailey had an election promise to finally fix Radical Bay Road, because the council have been skirting it and all this sort of stuff all the time. And the director for infrastructure and Anne Marie said, "Oh, you know, personally, I'd like to see it done, but you know, as a person of the council, you know, I'd like to see that money for Radical Bay Road be redirected, you know, and you know, Picnic Bay Hill is pretty bad. You know, we could use the money for that. And
Yeah.
for the viewers out there, Picnic Bay Hill is a disaster because the council contractors that did such a poor job about 6 years ago that it's been a disaster. We've asked the council to get them back and fix their job, and there's been no word yet. Oh yeah, we'll get them back, and the problem's still there. So if you wait long enough, you don't actually have to do your job properly, and you get paid for it.
Yeah, and you can use it as a wonderful bloody election promise too. You know, like that.
Yeah.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now,
So the
Tina's
election,
actually sent me through the photos, so I'm just going to quickly download them into a folder now. So thank you very much for that, Tina. Much appreciated. I'll shove that in that folder there. Save that one, and save that one, and I had so much crap open. Sorry, give me a second. Too much stuff. You guys have got to see what, you know. It's not just the chaos in my mind; it's the chaos everywhere else. I try to put order to it as best they can, but you know, here we go. Yeah, screen. So you know, here's our, you know, I believe that looks like Adam Bailey. You know, the acting mayor herself, and
yeah,
Townsville City Council worker by the look of it. Is this another? Can't
I
quite
think
ID
that's
that.
the
Looks like
federal emergency minister,
right.
and we've
Standing
got Matt
in
Rich.
front of Anne Marie's handiwork.
Yeah. So you'll notice under Anne Marie, there's no dirt whatsoever. So
Yeah, she's pretty game standing there.
yeah, and that's Matt Richardson on the right hand side there.
Mm. I mean, she's not exactly the lightest person on earth. I'd be a bit concerned about standing there if I were.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
we've seen the molehill, and this is the mountain.
yeah. So this is it. It'll keep collapsing. So all the material around the pipes, just for the viewers out there, that's unbound, what we call unbound material. So that's just gravel. So it'll just wash away like sand. What we've got now is stabilized gravel. That's gravel infused with cement powder. That's a solid. So because this is an overtopping bridge, I would have thought that they would have used stabilized gravel in there to fix all that up, and it's obviously not the case, and it's just washed out. You know?
Madness. And I mean, it looks like there's quite a bit of land mass under that shit, you know. And again, we see like the debris that is it's clogged up. That's clearly caused the problem. Shouldn't there be some sort of you know, ability for these things to pass under the bridge?
No. Well, the creek is supposed to be cleaned once a year to prevent that sort of stuff. Obviously, a council with in a financial crisis can't spend frivolous money on stuff like that.
Yeah.
And at the
Instead,
end
they're
of the
putting
day,
big signs up all around town telling us to be cyclone ready while neglecting their own duties to be
yeah, that's
cyclone
exactly
ready.
right. But the state and the federal government will pay for all this. It won't come out of the council coffers. In fact, they'll probably appoint the contractors, partly do it themselves, make a bit of coin out of it, and it's a win-win for them. The only poor bastard that suffers again is the ratepayer and the tourist. But again, no accountability, so who cares?
Yeah. Disgraceful. Utterly disgraceful. Yeah, here we are suffering, you know, what might seem like bad decisions, but they look like they're well calculated ones, you know. The problem with this bridge, as with most infrastructure today, is the moronic university trained engineers who know it all and won't listen to the old hand who have been building for 50 plus years. And I'm guessing there's more to that comment. Nothing they have built has called down, fallen down. I'm not sure where you're going there, buddy. So Tina popped one up here before. So no videoing at the meeting, no motions to vote of no confidence. How can 10 councillors and a CEO vote a motion of no confidence against Troy, a democratically elected mayor, and we the people can't have a vote of no confidence in Greenie, for not doing her job as Division 3 councillor. I mean, she's doing a good job. Like, we've seen the road. She's done a great job.
Yeah. And I must publicly thank Tina for her courage in putting that vote of no confidence forward. If it wasn't for Tina, we wouldn't be getting the updates from Anne-Marie that suddenly appeared after her first vote of no confidence. And we certainly, in Mirror, at the last one, we had the actual CEO, like I said, turn up. Never at Mirror, at a Mirror meeting has the CEO ever turned up. So I thank Tina for that. And Matt Richardson was there too. Yeah, so hat off to Tina. She's done a wonderful job. Cameron Turnbull said that it come to no point, but it obviously come to a sharp point with all these jokers turning up from the council.
That's it. So from one point of view in the mainstream media and that bird-brained idiot trying to point out that it's just a bunch of lunatics and whatnot. It's it's great work, and look, it might not have yielded the results 100% desired, but it's certainly drawn a lot of attention, and it's made a lot of very interesting a lot of interesting results have come from this. So, and that's just a beautiful example of just a handful of people getting together and getting shit together. And hey, Batty, want to bring a camera down? We're gonna try and get some accountability. Would you like to assist? Of course, I'll always help out wherever I can when people are putting in the good effort and doing the hard yards. Unfortunately, I won't be allowed back to do that again. So it was a one shot shoot and strike, and it seemed to have certainly.
But certainly, with this current chairman, Cameron Turnbull, he has no desire to have it videoed. He has no desire to run a vote of no confidence. So, hopefully, if he moves on shortly,
I offered it. I offered my services to him. I said, look, as a North Queensland Freedom Network, I'll come in here and do it for free. The people want accountability. I'm happy to do that. Of course, I'm going to do a little story here and there on it, just like any mainstream would. But I'd happily put the whole thing up. But Anne-Marie Greenie blocked that. She decided she didn't want that to happen. She made a big song and a dance. So the whole video didn't go up. Anne-Marie Greenie made that decision. While carrying on the way she did, all I got a chance to do was my little story, and then you let me know that Anne-Marie and the council had a problem with the other worker who was of no interest to me, but the general public was interested in getting the whole video up, which I was happy to do. But Anne-Marie Greenie blocked the whole video going up, so all we got was my little interpretation. So she did that to herself. And secondarily, she said she didn't want to be videoed. So that's all right. I blurred it. I didn't use the video. I used the audio instead. So she should choose her words more carefully, which is very interesting. And I made sure I noted the words. But that said, why are they so afraid of the whole thing going up? What's the problem? If they're transparent and accountable, why can't they have that video going up? And I offered it to Cameron. I said, okay, fine. I can bill you. I can come here and film it, and I'll give you the footage, and I won't use it. Right? You use it as you see fit, and put the whole video up so people can check it later, because that's what the people are asking me to do. Right? So why don't you pay for it? Oh no, we can't afford that. Well, it sounds like you need a freedom network, I said to him. Well, he doesn't want that either, because obviously Anne-Marie Greenie doesn't. She openly stated, I don't support the North Queensland Freedom Network. Well, good for you. It's not about what you support. You're a representative of the people, Anne-Marie. It's not about what you want. It's what the people want. But clearly she has a bit of a distorted view of reality there. And much like we pointed out earlier in this podcast, we've allowed this to happen. We, the ratepayers, we, the voters, we, the people, have allowed this dictatorship to take form by not holding them to account, by not saying, no, you work for us.
Yeah. And the other thing is, you know, in the council chambers, they go, you know, we're doing such a good job, we're transparent and accountable, but when the ratepayers at Mirror want this sort of shit, mate, it doesn't happen. They do exactly the opposite. I mean, how is a video camera encroaching on anyone's privacy? This is a public forum, you know?
Yep.
And don't forget at the start, there were calls for, is anyone objected to this? Put your hand up.
No one said a
Emery
problem. No one
never
had a
put
problem.
her hand up. She never voiced her concern, you know?
Yep.
I
And the
didn't do
second
it. That's
meeting, all of
rubbish.
a sudden, people had a problem with it. So it's clear that Anne-Marie Greening got into people's ears because nobody had a problem in the first one.
Yeah. So, you know, the whole idea of accountability and transparency with the council is their way or the highway. There won't be any public consultation in Division 3. You've seen that with the parking meters. And while we're on the subject of the parking meters too, I've got to do a shout out to all the staff at the MARTA there. I know they're being hammered by these parking meters that the council have
New
decided
4-hour
to put in
parking
new,
zones, I believe.
yeah,
Thanks,
the
Liam
new
Mooney.
conditions. Yeah, so yeah, big shout out to them and how poor the council thought that out. That you know, who wants to pick on nurses? I mean, after the whole COVID scam thing and everything else that the nurses have to put up with, you know, you've got the Townsville City Council going, oh, we'll do the right thing, and we'll put parking meters there and penalise them. You know, so
yeah,
you know, this council's all sorts of broken.
Yeah, agreed. And again, like, rather than do what their job is, which is to ensure that things like parking is available to the people, they've allowed town planning to become so poor that they've cut out the parking. They've allowed development to get out of control while not providing adequate facilities such as parking. That and it's not just here, it's a nationwide pandemic of parking, something I noticed a long time ago. Like, you've actually got to sit there and map out how much you're not going to provide parking for this to happen. It's the only way forward. Like, every business plan for development has to put forth how many parking spaces do you think you're going to need. So they know damn well what's going on. It's the business case for development is how much parking do you need?
Yeah.
So how is it that we have no parking?
Yeah.
Either their modeling is completely fucked or they just have done this on purpose for the express intention of milking the public for parking meters.
Or they're getting some sort of benefit by not putting the correct amount of parking there, saving the developer and you know, going on a paid holiday. You know?
Yep.
This is, you know, but you know, instead of saying, hey, this is a problem of our own creation, we need to resolve it. We'll get people in and we'll have community consultation. They go, okay, well, there's a problem here. We can exploit it and we can make some money. So let's do that. I mean, how broken is that, you know?
Yeah.
But
disgrace.
There still needs to be concern about the parking meters. I mean, these people have broken promises left, right, and centre, and I know I've mentioned it a few times now, but 28 people objected to the council developing Lansdowne, and all councillors, including the mayor, Jenny Hill, voted for it. So you know, you've got 28 people, 2,800 voting against Lansdowne, and you've got one person having issue with the long-term renting or people living at Amaroo, and yet the council is, you know, upwards of $1.5 million in the courts now, and we still haven't gone to court. So, but if any of the viewers are out there and they're doing nothing on the 20th of March, feel free to come down to the courts there and voice your concern and your support for the elderly, vulnerable residents at Amaroo, and voice your concerns about the blatant waste of money, the lack of consultation, and the way that the council have handled this case.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah,
also
so
raised it.
Thursday, 20th of March, Townsville City Council, not Townsville City Council, just down the road from the Townsville City Council at the courts, which I understand the state government's going to pump millions of dollars into enhancing our courts, apparently.
Yeah. And
Fuck the parking. Don't worry about the fact you can't get a car park to go to the courts, but we're going to make the buildings a lot better. Don't you worry. That's the important thing. Is that the buildings at the Townsville City Courts will be improved thanks to the state government. Just don't expect to be able to park there, at least not for free.
Yeah, so
while we're screwing you over for not paying the parking fines, we're going to make sure we give you another parking fine while you're fighting that parking fine in the court.
Yeah, so the other thing I found out this week, it's the conduct that the state government filter down to all the government departments. It's called it's the rules and regulations basically for local governments and how they are supposed to act in certain ways. So with court cases and stuff like that, because there's obviously a financial gap between the might and the research and everything else that the Townsville City Council could do, and an elderly vulnerable pensioner, this procedure is supposed to, if I could, even the playing field. So some of the rules and regulations with regard to this is being honest and transparent, which I've obviously failed. Having mediation to try and mediate this issue rather than going to court. Court should be a last resort for the council. And talking to the people and trying to get the best outcome and identifying the actual problem itself in the first place. And obviously the council haven't employed this. When I try and get mediation, they say no. When I talk to the council, I say no. One of the reasons why we wanted to have mediation was to enlighten the council, if I could use that term, to say that, hey, these long-term renters aren't party to these proceedings. And in the compromise to proceedings, they've actually identified these 15 people that are going to be out on the street. When I spoke to Adam Bailey yesterday, I said, well, you know, you're the state government. Is there any chance of housing these people? Is there any emergency housing for these people? What's going to happen to them if the council is successful? I don't believe they will be successful, but I asked him that question and he said, well, Alan, that's a good question and I'll have to look into that. And I said, well, thank you very much, mate.
This also sounds like a wonderful opportunity to go, let me find out. I've got to ask my higher ups.
Well, you know, at the meeting, he was quite open. So I felt that that was quite positive. I also spoke to him about the 55 Kelly Street and said, hey, listen, this planning approval, how can that happen on community use land? I mean, how can you have little kids with their little Tonka toys playing in the dirt while, you know, 20-ton dump trucks go and dump this slop? And I said that the two uses aren't compatible. You know, that's just ridiculous. And he goes, oh yeah, well, I'll look into that too. So those issues are in front of Adam Bailey at the moment, and I'm hoping, like hell, that you know he does look at them. You know, oh, that's right, the social housing for the 15 persons identified. So you know, this is
15 persons identified. Can you give us a little bit more on what that means?
So in the compromise to proceedings, so the council said, righto, to the owner occupiers, we'll allow you to live in your units for the rest of your days or until you sell it.
So coming back to Amaru, yep, cool. I'm with you.
Yep. So this is going back to Amaru, yep. And in those compromise to proceedings, it identifies 15 of these persons that are outside that scope that will have to be ejected. So what the council is asking for is you can only stay there for 3 months in a 12-month period. So the council have offered a get out of jail free clause for the owner occupiers, but there's another group,
but not for the renters.
yeah, they're the renters. So they're the people that the council don't want to know about, and they're out in the street. So that was the question out of Bailey. Is there social housing for these people? And he said, mate, I'll have to get back to you.
Yeah, well, you got to wonder, like tent cities popping up all over the place. There's a huge rental crisis here in Townsville as people are flooding to get away from the nightmares of the big cities and coming to, places like Townsville, which are more affordable. And, when we're not ducking cyclones, fucking great place to live. And when we're not you're dealing with horrific corruption, again, great place to live. We could really solve a few problems here. Sort out the corruption and whatnot. But, yeah, we would, all regional areas have a huge influx at the moment as people are just desperate to get out of the cities for various reasons. Truth, I seen the writing on the wall a long time ago, which is why I left, the city of Melbourne, out of eastern suburbs of Melbourne. I just couldn't afford it. Quite simply, we were pushed out of the pricing market. Townsville.
So this issue of housing and stuff, I obviously put in front of Adam Bailey and said, mate, we need an answer. This is happening on the 20th of March. You need to, you need to look at this. And I said, the other thing is this development approval for this, which is a lawful non-conforming use. They're wanting to change all these criteria. This is a criteria for the state government. Can you please have a look at it? Are they just that rubbery now that they're turning on themselves or turning your development approvals inside out to suit themselves? And if so, mate, you need to come down on these people with a hammer because it's obviously terrible that they're picking on this vulnerable group. So I've spent days and days and hours, going through the whole scenario and looking at all the issues, and we're quite confident that we'll get a win on the 20th of March or soon after the court makes its decision. The question of, well, will we get our funding back? Obviously, we're scraping for money now to pay for the legals and all that sort of thing, and that GoFundMe page is still going.
The Townsville City Council, who's hemorrhaging money, seems to have enough money to get barristers from Brisbane. Amazing.
Yeah. So they've got barristers from Brisbane and all that sort of thing, and that's quite disheartening that although they're over $1 billion in the red, they're still going to these lengths. So obviously,
there's like 10 people employed on the legal team, for the Townsville City Council. Why can't they do it? Why do we need to get a barrister from Brisbane? Like, how is that supporting?
That's a good question.
Absolutely disgraceful.
That's a bloody good question. I don't know, mate. To be honest.
A handful of residents and ratepayers defending their own right to stay in a property that they purchased or even renting in some cases, can barely scrape together a few bucks to defend themselves, while the Townsville City Council uses ratepayer money to get a high-profile barrister from Brisbane, whilst also having at least 10 people working as legal representatives for the Townsville City Council, and God knows how many other helpers and other various benefits the legal team has in Townsville City Council. It's a shitload of money. That is a shitload of money.
Yeah, it's seriously David Light side.
Yeah. And again, weaponizing our own rights against the people. That is utterly disgraceful. There is no, I can't find words low enough to describe these people.
Yeah, no, I often say to people, you know, I wish I was born in a different time. You know, I could have made a difference, but maybe this is my time, and this is why I was put here to, you know, to even the playing field up. You know, so these monsters from the Townsville City Council could be put in a check. You know.
Yep.
Because after this, if the council do lose, you know, they'll have one hell of a bloody nose, and
Oh yeah.
hopefully they will. And if they do, God, you know, they're on the serious decline. You know.
Oh yeah. Big kick in the pants for them. So look, mate, I think we might sort of round it up at about there, unless you got something new that you want to sort of bring in.
No, mate,
Otherwise,
no.
the general public, 20th of March, Thursday, 20th of March, down at Townsville Courts, get in there and show your support, you know, against the horrific abuse of ratepayer money to kick out, you know, senior citizens as well as a wartime veteran from their own homes, which is utterly disgraceful in a dries town. They want to sit there and jump up and down about Troy Thompson misplacing a few words, you know, or perhaps years from a certain point of view. But these people are kicking out a veteran from his own home who has post-traumatic stress. That's a real crime. And where's the Townsville bulletin on that?
Yeah, no. Well, I did speak to Philip Thompson about that too, and I said, mate, I need some help with this, and nothing but crickets from him. So
yeah,
you know,
which
Philip,
again,
Philip Thompson,
he's
Philip
ex-military
Thompson,
himself. You think he'd have a little few stones to throw there, but nah. You know, and again,
so, you know, I know Philip Thompson.
I think Philip Thompson's generally a good dude, man. But seriously, he's a part of one. You know, he's just. It's the party he's a part of. If he were to run for an independent as an independent, and you know, I'd probably have more respect for him. But because he's a part of the Liberal Party, right, it's just really hard to have support. You know, because two cheeks of the same ass. I'm sorry, that sign getting around town is rather accurate.
Yeah. My experience with Philip is exactly that. You know, I mean, he's willing to help other people in the ADF, but you know, Vietnam veterans aren't one of them. You know, I think that's piss poor.
Yeah, it's disgraceful.
Anyway, mate. So yeah, so I'll give you a I'll talk again after the 20th of the 3rd, hopefully with good news, mate, or yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, after
Yeah,
that,
one way or the other, we'll keep people up to date, man. So you're looking at the 20th. So you know, the next day, the 21st, will be the next available podcast, I guess. And I think we've also got somebody else, so we might be able to do a double whammy political sort of construct. I believe we have. Let me just check. Yeah, we've also got an independent member. Independent running for the seat of Herbert coming on the same day, so we'll get yourself,
cool.
and Steve to come in and have a yarn. So on the 21st as well. So I think that'll be a good one to really bring in, you know, some big issues, and perhaps maybe we can even chase up some of our, you know. Well, Philip Thompson's got to defend his seat. Maybe we'll chase him up, see if he's got a few words regarding how that turns out. Once that court case is done, he hasn't got the excuse to say, oh, it's before the courts. So hopefully we'll be able to get a comment, at least maybe something in writing, some way, shape or form. We'll chase him up. So look, thanks heaps for coming in, and big thanks for all your amazing work helping out, you know, the people at Amaroo, Magnetic Island, Division 3, and, you know, the Townsville community in general, man. It's a damn shame that you didn't take that seat from Anne-Marie Greeny. Imagine what the world would look like if she was not a part of the picture.
You're not wrong,
man. Thanks heaps, mate. We'll see you on the 21st.
No problem, mate. Thank you.
Not a problem, man. You have a good one. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's a couple of questions that have been thrown through, so I thought we'll get through these. So I have a question watching Robin and Michael last night. Sorry, I didn't. I was wondering if the software you guys use is available with a corporate license in IT. It works out cheaper. That's a good question. I don't know. I know I've paid for the what we use is StreamYard. So, Jake, if you've got a suggestion on a better way we can do that, that's great. StreamYard is actually really, I find it's very easy to use, very helpful. So if you've got any suggestions, open to suggestion. You know the email by now, my friend. Yeah, we're all using the same software. So Tyler says, what about hydro cars? What about them? I don't know. You tell me. You're the car nut, dude. Still can't find your Telegram page. Allow me to facilitate. I've got it here. I've just posted the link in the comments. I'd say I'd post it on Telegram, but it's kind of pointless because if you can't get to it, you can't get to it. So look, there. I think I actually have a save thing. So here it is as well. So that's the actual web address. So you just type T with a dot ME/North Queensland Freedom, and you will find us on Telegram through a web browser. That's the web browser way to do it. I believe you just type in North Queensland Freedom, and you should be able to find it on Telegram. If you're still having trouble with all that, obviously the best way to contact me is not via social medias outside of Telegram and whatnot, is to use NQ Freedom Network at protonmail.com. If you are struggling and you want a link to any of the things that I'm talking about, just drop me a line, let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. In the description, of course, there's the link tree that has all the social media bits and bobs, so if you want to help out, that's another way to do it. I've got to clean this up. We've got a bit of shit. So cll.social is something else I recommend. I did see somebody was using that today, which is good. Look, at the end of the day, we are tasked with the ultimate question. Do we continue running our own social media network, which is clo.social? Because if people are not going to use it, if people are not going to get behind it, then it is nothing more than an economic drain on the Cafe Locked Out crew. It is costing the crew money. So, you can't set up social media site without having various costs associated. If you want a free social media, there it is right there. But you guys have to support it. If you're not going to support it, it's going to get shut down. It's that simple. Basic common sense stuff. I think it's a great thing. I should use it more myself. I know. Obviously, I have a lot on my plate. A lot of things I work with. I spend a lot of time on the phone talking to people and whatnot, old school style, because it's the easiest way to deal with things. So, yeah. Anyway, and I hope that answered Valerie's question. Like I said, Valerie, if you're still struggling, NQ Freedom Network at protonmail.com. Batty, you should get Wayne Glue on. He knows the Constitution laws. Wayne Glue. Look, I've heard of the guy. I've seen a few of his things. Between you, me, and the gate post, I look, I guess he's worth a yarn. Look, at the end of the day, the Know Your Rights guys, Darren and Daryl, kind of who I go to when I want to talk about Constitution stuff. So, I don't know. I don't know. CLL's not working for me. Sorry, FB works better. Okay. Johanna's brought up a great point here. If people are struggling with CLO.social, if there's something that's not working for you, whatever reason, can you let us know so that we can help fix that? Of course, hit me up at NQ Freedom Network at protonmail.com. I can pass that on to the IT guys and whatnot so that they know how to fix things. If we don't know there's a problem, we can't fix it. So if there's something wrong and it's pissing you off for whatever reason, just please shoot me an email and we'll get onto that. Obviously, a social media network is not an easy thing to develop, and I'm sure Jake, who's in IT, probably has better clue than most of us as to how complex such a piece of software is. There's a lot of problems. I mean, you go back to early Facebook and early MySpace and all these things. Go back and think about what those systems used to be like and how much it's evolved over time. And there's a lot of money and a lot of people and a lot of work going into that. Closed Social obviously is being run by a very small group with fuck all money, fuck all support. Sorry for swearing again, but I need to emphasize these points. Without support, we can't make this happen. So if there's a problem, it's not working for you, why? Why is it not working? We need to know these things. As far as the Wayne Glue thing goes, look, maybe I'll hit him up at some point. When it comes to constitutional stuff, Daryl is one of the best that I know. Great bloke. Unfortunately, his voice is still suffering. And he's doing great work with Heidi, who's going to also come back and do some more work with us in future. That's all the starred comments. What else? I think that kind of covers everything, There's probably a bunch of other stuff, but look, we're at 3 hours, and seriously, I admire the dedication. I love the fact that more and more people come. The longer we run a podcast, the more turn up live. It's amazing. So I want to thank the hundreds of people that have tuned in to see this live. You guys absolutely rock, and a huge sips to you, mob. But yeah. Again, check out that description. I'm going to punch it here into the thing because we've got a new Gaia network. Truth, I'll close that window down. Hold on a sec. I've got to bring one up. We've started up an affiliate program with the Gaia Network. Again, like I said the other day, this is not something that I'm just saying, hey, there's a great way to make a buck. Like this is something that I myself use. I really enjoy, the content they provide. I don't agree with everything that's on there, and nor should anyone. You shouldn't agree with anything I say either. You should question the fuck out of everything. If I said it, doesn't make it true. Just because you found it on the internet doesn't make it true. It's up to you to have a good think about these things and what actually is real, what actually does work, what is the truth. These are questions only you yourself can answer, because at the end of the day, perception is reality. It's one of those things, what is real? And you start to contemplate the idea of, well, if it's just a bunch of memories and neurons firing off in the brain, then, perception is all up here, You got to remember there's a lot of people who are trying to manipulate and use that against you. So that's not the one I want. I want this one. Sorry, got there in the end. So here we go. 7-day free trial of the Gaia Network. Going into the descriptions. If it's something you're interested in, go and have a look at. There's a lot of really cool stuff. I haven't even gotten through it all. I'm a big fan of the ancient histories and, ancient civilizations and all that stuff. That's one of the things I love. I'm going to punch it into the Telegram group again for you mob to go and see. Look, if you're interested in getting some Bitcoin and whatnot, here's $10 free. All you have to do is jump in and follow the directions. Get your $10 free Bitcoin. You get $10. I get $10. So helping yourself helps me. How isn't that a good deal? You help yourself and me at the same time. Come on, isn't this a great thing? If you'd like to help out in some other way, perhaps you want to, reach out to one of the candidates who are running. Truth, I don't know. I looked in the mirror, just like you said. I listened to that Michael Jackson song. I want to be the change, and I know to be the change, I got to start with changing myself. I want to change my attitudes. How do I get involved a little bit more? Again, shoot me NQ Freedom Network at protonmail.com. Just hey, look, this is me. I'm in this area. I'd like to get more involved. What are you more interested in? Let me know, and I'll see if I can help you out, because let's point people in the right direction. Federal elections coming up. Let's get armed and dangerous, people, not with weapons, but with our mind. Because as Rambo himself said in Rambo 2, I always believe the best weapon is the mind. It didn't matter about the tech, didn't matter about all the hardware and all the bullshit they were selling Rambo. Rambo himself said the mind, And as ministry said, mind is a terrible thing to taste, and it's also a terrible thing to waste. So don't let your wonderful brains go to waste, people. Come on. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of people watching right now, and I hope that you're going to use those wonderful weapons of mind to the best of their ability, and not to mention the thousands that will come over the next day or so. So, look, do your best. It's all anyone can do. Happy Sips Day. Part 2. And I look forward to seeing Australia the way it should be. Australia actually has democracy. The idea perhaps that, maybe Politicians shouldn't be telling us what to do. They should be asking us what to do. I was asking a survey recently, what's your ideal structure of politics? I'm like, I'm still waiting for that to actually happen. But ideally, I would see a system where the politicians put forth legislation and they can't enact any of it until we have voted on it. Every piece of legislation should be voted on by the people, not elected or unelected representatives. The people. That would be a real democracy where, okay, we put forth our ideas. They go, okay, this is the legislation I think you want. Kind of like talking to AI, and it's not too dissimilar because AI is very much like an autistic child. And I kind of believe some of our politicians aren't too far from that, perhaps lacking the autism, just the child element. Let's put forth what we believe the people are looking for. Is this what you're looking for, people? And we say, yes, that's what we want. Or hell no, we don't want it. Go away and have another crack. You're not listening. You're not hearing us, And at the end of the day, the politician that produces the stuff that people really want and everybody's voting for is going to get the support. It's really simple stuff, Whereas the guy who keeps screwing you over should be given a good smack on the ass and sent packing. That's how this shit should run. Happy sips. The hourglass is empty. The time is right. So I bid you all farewell, and I will see you all next week. Till then, live long and